Hi, everybody. Welcome to Leverage TV. We're making business relative is our objective. My name is Jamil Cooper, and I'm your host. Today, we will be continuing our conversation on the characteristics of a successful entrepreneur. Our topic for the day will be customer sensitivity. But let me admit that this conversation calls for a professional who understands the acquisition, that understands the customer acquisition process and understands customer sustainability. So, our guests for this segment range from a small town in Virginia. How many of you know that extraordinary people come from small places? She is a Trojan. What I mean by Trojan, she's a graduate from Virginia State University. She graduated with a degree in marketing. As a retail consultant, she has over 19 years in the industry. Uh, she works she has worked in the private, public, and governmental sectors of business. Um, Her work as a merchandiser, a retail specialist, right, has been recognized by many companies such as Procter and Gamble, General Mills, and Acosta. She is the founder and owner of Venue LLC, which empowers and transforms businesses of all sizes, providing services such as retail training, leadership training, customer service training, and visual merchandising. Without further ado, I would like to welcome you. I would like to welcome to Leverage TV, her elegance, Diana. Hi, Diana. How are you?
Hi, good. Thank you, Jamil, for having me on the show. I'm doing great.
So, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. I knew that you would be the perfect person for this, being that you have an array of experience in the customer service industry. I mean, one of the most important things about working in customer service, about running a business, is that you need customers in order for the business to run so that you can be profitable, right? But I think customer sensitivity is very important. And so I want to play a game. Are you game for a game? Because I'm game for a
Yes,
game.
I'm
Okay.
game. I'm
All
game.
right. I like that
I'm
attitude.
game.
Well, anyway, so I'm going to put up two images. I want you to tell me, what do you see?
Yeah. The first image, a mess. I see a mess. And that's what customers see. If they go into the store, that's what they're seeing. They're seeing a mess. So that's what I see too as well. And and that's very important that we look at things like that, and we look at it from the perspective of a customer. Would a customer want to shop there if they saw that mess? Probably not. They probably would turn back around. So yeah, you have to really be sensitive to the customers, and if that's shoppable, is that something that that somebody would want to frequent that type of store?
Mm. So let me ask you a question. How would you, as a retail specialist, what would be your suggestions to improve the cash flow for a business that is experiencing something like this?
Okay. The cash flow. Well, it would be to well, think about merchandising is that you are creating a story.
Hmm.
So when you are actually having a disarray of products everywhere, it's not shoppable. And the story that you're telling the customers is that you don't want to shop here. So
Mm.
you want to kind of, be mindful of how you're telling the story. What story do you want to tell to your customers? Do you want to say, hey, this is shoppable? You can find what you're looking for. You can even find some things that you didn't even have in mind. So that's some of the things that you kind of want to, have in mind when you are running a retail store. What kind of stories are you creating through your visual merchandising?
Right. So what you're saying is that presentation is important. Presentation is key in terms of what you provide a consumer.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. You think about how many times that you've actually, went to a store and you like, okay, I can't deal with this, and you walk right back out. You're like, I don't think I can really shop. It's certain places that people frequent that are more organized, is more pleasing to the eye. Customers can find what they want. They can even find some things that, they can, start shopping around for other people too as well. So it's really important, when a person comes into your store, that you're really putting your best foot forward as soon as you open, as well as throughout the day. So that's something very important. A lot of people have to, it's a lot of upkeep also too in the visual merchandising. You have to
Mhm.
maintain those displays throughout the day. And I think that's what happened. It was just a lack of maintenance and probably just a lack of staff, to be perfectly
Mm.
honest, with this particular image.
I never even thought about like how a lack of staff can kind of cause. I mean, when you think about it, it's almost like a bottleneck, right?
Hmm.
You got somebody at the register, you got somebody on the floor, but you have nobody taking the returns and putting the returns in the proper place. Um, so that's like a bottleneck for the um, for the company, right? So it's going to slow down some processes.
Oh,
Am I right?
absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Because you have to have a system in place. When you
Hmm.
are actually running a store, it's a system. You have to have a system, you have to have rotation, you have to have coverage. So I think this was just a lack of coverage. It may have been the holidays, which were, companies hire seasonally, so they hire a lot of different people so that the way they can, help the customers. But also too, you want to be able to maintain your store. But I think this particular store, didn't have enough coverage to maintain it. Maybe they weren't, properly trained on how to actually, handle those things, and they weren't zoned properly during a busy time like that. Because the store shouldn't ever look in a disarray. So I think it's several things that, they could have did differently. Even just how they use their hangers, the type of hangers that are like, at a have like the loops and things like that. Is certain hangles that you could actually have, so it kind of prevent that. And I think this
Hmm.
store in particular is a very fast fashion store. So they're kind of like they create this culture of fast fashion. So people just throw things everywhere. So that's not
Mm.
really a really great thing for this particular company, because they're not merchandising effectively. And then it's like, who wants to shop during the holidays or anytime if they go into a store and it looks a mess? I personally don't want to shop there.
And so I'm going to give you another slide. Let's see. I mean, so if you were to rate this, what would you rate this?
The previous one,
This slide right here, the first one.
the first one, I would rate it, if I'm being nice, a one.
A one.
But yeah,
A one.
a one, and that is for everything that's hanging up. Okay,
Mhm.
um, yeah, that's being nice for that image, but it's really a zero, because a store should never look like this.
Wow.
Um, get more coverage, get more staff, and treat your merchandise correctly, and people will, honor those things, and be able to increase your profits too as well.
Okay. Okay. That's pretty good. So I'm going to go on to the next slide. And I want you to grade this one first and then your give me your feedback on it. I would love to hear your feedback. So I want our viewers to be able to understand how important it is to have customer sensitivity, and presentation is a part of that. All right. You ready? There you go.
See this image, yes. Now that image right there, that is how it's supposed to be. It's neat, it's organized, it's telling a story. So the story that they're actually creating with this particular image is that they're showing, like, was this tea? So it's merchandised correctly, because now you have different coffee, and had different tea mugs. So it's a really clean representation of this store. I personally would shop there. I'm pretty sure everyone else would shop there, as well as a good way to maintain. A lot of times stores will overly pack their stores, and which is a bad idea. because you will have like
Mm,
the first case. So this one right here is a very clean thing too, and it's also very shopper friendly. So when a person is actually trying to put things back, the workers can put things back properly. Even people shopping, they say, okay, well, you know what, and they'll put things back properly. But when your store is in disarray, people don't care. People treat your store how you treat your store. So at the end of the day, business owners, treat your store right, and then the customers will treat your store like you treat it. So yeah, this I love. It's color coded, it's clean, it's shoppable. um Love this image.
okay. So another question that I would have is, how would you apply this to service-based businesses that aren't offering because we're talking about customer sensitivity overall, right? I picked these images because these are specifically something that you work with. But service-based businesses like an accounting business or a motivational speakers business, or there's array and event planning business. How would you apply those same principles, or what would you suggest that they can do to make sure that their presentation is up to par?
I believe it starts with you. So if you're dressed
Mm,
well for the job, if you show up on time, if you respect the customer's time, if you have a certain time that you're going to go ahead and meet them, make sure you actually do those things. So don't, be very on point far as your time, be on point far as your follow-ups. All of that is in the presentation. So I would say, and that's also customer based too as well, because if a customer comes to you and you're disorganized, then they're going to treat you, they're just going to say, okay, well, this person is not really a professional. So maybe I'll show up on time, maybe I'll come, maybe I'll pay them. So once you kind of start setting those precedences and start saying to a customer, hey, this is what my expectations are, this is who I am, and you present it in such a way, then they actually will reciprocate those same things.
okay. I think that's very important. Like, nobody want to walk into a place that is disarray or unorganized, or the environment, because as an entrepreneur, you create the environment. You don't want a hostile
Mhm.
environment. Hostile environment doesn't necessarily mean there's a lot of anger and rage there, but the appearance of it can come off like, I know, like, I can't deal with clutter, right? I want to
Right.
start cleaning stuff when I see clutter, right? And
That's
it
it.
may make me a bit antsy. I thank God I got a roommate who is as cleanly as I am, because I'd probably be crazy. Like, some people, they can just leave stuff anywhere, but it for me, it has to be like very neat and precise. And so when I'm dealing with my business, I mean, when I'm dealing with my clients, I want to make sure that my communication and everything is important. So to can you define from your experience what is customer sensitivity? I know it's a word, that a kind of phrase that I made up, but I feel like that is something very important for entrepreneurs to have. How would you define that?
I would say customer sensitivity is it really goes back to impression and impact.
Mm,
What kind of impression do you want to have? What
right.
kind of impact do you want to have? Because ultimately, that's what's going to really determine how successful you are. And that can be
Mhm.
applied to anything. If you have customers or clientele, for your accountant, what kind of impression do you want to leave on them? And also too, and that's
Right.
and also in the visual side too. What
Mhm.
type of impression do you want? Do you want to say I'm a junkie store? Like you can come and you can treat me any kind of way, or do you want to say, hey, I'm organized, I'm neat. This is my expectation, this is who I am. And then the impact on the customer. If usually those places that are very disorganized, the customer service is also disorganized. The
Mm,
customer service is also not good. So you're
right.
you're really telling a story of hey, you can treat me any kind of way, or you go into a store and you say, hey, you know what? These are our standards. This is how you treat our store. This is how you treat our merchandise, and we're valuable. So I think some of those things too as well, once you start carrying those things with you, far as with your business, just always think about what kind of impression do you want? What kind of impact do you want to leave on your customers? So when I think about customer sensitivity, that's what I think about. This
Mm,
particular those videos that you had shown, that particular client was very disorganized. So when I came,
Okay.
I cleaned everything up, and within minutes, things sold. Like he was selling $1,000 even before he opened up, just by
Wow.
based on looks alone. So
Almost.
that tells you a lot from being very not really selling too much to if you're organized, how much your profits will go up tremendously. So that's what happened in that particular case.
And so, and I guess to go to feed more into that particular case is what were like, how did you come upon this client? Because part
And that's essentially what happened. You know, I saw that there's a need, and I became the solution.
mm, so you saw that there's a need and you became a solution. I think about some of like my accounting clients that I do their books for them.
Mhm.
When I got their books, I'm like, whoa, right? And I'm like, yeah, we're gonna have to figure out a way to get everything up to date. Your books are a mess, and these are the steps that we're going to have to take. So the need is so that they can report their documentation to the IRS or what other entities or even investors, their financials, like they'll have accurate financials, right? That
Mhm.
that's what they're in need of, right?
Mhm.
And a lot of times, in order for you to get certain investments, they want to know what you're doing with your money, and having the proper financials in place would allow my customers to be able to obtain different types of degrees of loans and investor funding, government funding, and stuff like that. And so, in your case, you're dealing with how they present. It's the same thing. Presentation is key. But when you present in a certain way, you can become more profitable. And so, let's see. So I I guess we can kind of like, okay, so we know that presentation, but what about communication? Like how important is communication within the frameworks of acquiring new customers or in the frameworks of customer service?
Okay. Well, communication is everything. If you're
Mhm.
unclear, then the customers are unclear. So I think once you become very clear and you communicate that way, then customers will respond. So say for instance what you were saying about your books being disorganized, right? So
Mhm.
a lot of times what happens is people don't see their mess. So a lot of
Mm,
times you have to communicate and say, "Hey, there's a mess here," you know,
right.
and say, because a lot of times we're blind to what's really going on.
Hmm.
So a lot of times we have to go into a situation and identify, say, "Hey, did you notice that this isn't checking out? This isn't checking out for you, far as with accounting, right?" So with me, far as with business, I say, "Okay, well, we have to." A lot of times we have to pose there is a problem first, and then person say, "Oh wow, I didn't even notice that. I didn't notice that that's why my sales aren't there because of my visual merchandising. I thought it was great. This particular customer, he did actually thought he was doing a great job. He was
Wow.
really like thinking that it was really great until he saw those numbers.
Mm.
And numbers don't lie. So
what
it's
they
it's
do.
it's always, yeah, it's proof in the pudding, as they say, it's proof in the pudding. So whether or not you like it, or whether you think is the best thing, if you actually end up being more profitable, since I actually came in and I organized things, then hey, there was a problem before. There was a
Right.
problem. So now you can see what I see. So I think a lot of times in community that they those things to customers sometimes are very difficult because they can't see it. They can't see, oh well, with you in accounting, oh well, my books, I'm making money. But you're like, no, actually you're losing a lot more money than what you're
Money.
making. You don't see you're in a
Right.
deficit. You don't see that you're spending more than you're bringing in. So I think once you go in and you communicate and say you identify those things, then a customer can say, okay, now there's a problem. Guess what? Now I'm the solution. Let me
Right.
help you with this. Let me help you organize this, and then when you kind of do that, you present your value. Okay, now I'm valuable because I take you from here to there so that you can reach your expected end of being more profitable in your business.
That's real good. That is really, really good. And so being able to communicate uh the issues and communicate how you can solve problems. Now, you've been working in the customer service industry for over 19 years, which I think is phenomenal, right? So you got experience, right? Hey, you got experience. And so um I know you have had the opportunity to deal with aggressive customers.
Yes.
And so, a lot of us want to know because, you know, I personally could become a better communicator, but how have you dealt with aggressive customers without losing your temperature?
Right, right, absolutely. Um, well, it's really so what I usually do is I listen. I come into a situation and I let them talk. A soft answer turns away wrath. So I really
Mm,
just, okay, let me go ahead and let them vent. What's going on? Let's see what's going on. Okay. And then once they kind of finish everything, then I say, okay, so you're saying this is this? Yes, I'm saying this is this. Okay, all right. So this is what we can do going forward.
right.
If once through that situation, this is what I can do for you. Because you said this is what I can do. And if at that time they're still irate, there's no problem with calling security. Okay? Like, you do not have to, if a person is belligerent, you can still within legal rights to actually still call security and let them handle it from that standpoint.
Mhm.
So if a customer is getting upset, that's usually what you do. You talk with them, you're never combative, because I've seen things to where they managers will actually combat the customer. That's nothing that you would want to do ever. You don't want to, because then that's going to make them even more upset. So you want to kind of
Mm,
just, start to really just bring them down some and just really say, okay, and really talk in a really calm manner and say, okay, well, this is what we can do. Okay, well, right now, unfortunately, this is our policy. This is what our policy states. Now, this is what I can do for you. Going forward, such and such and such and such. So that way you don't have this repeat customer making the same types of issues over and over again, because a lot of customers will actually even try to what's it called, take advantage of the system. They will try to take advantage of that, especially if you don't know. So I would always
right.
say, know your policy, know what's in place, so that way you can speak to it if one of those situations actually come up during one of those times to where a customer is irate.
Okay. That's pretty good, which leads me into my next question for you. Um, so, you know, we interact with the clientele, right? How important it is for you to communicate the message of your company or the vision of your company to your staff. You have trained leaders, so how important is it to communicate um, that message?
It's very important because everybody has to be on the same page. So if you are not communicating to your staff, this is what we stand by, this is our mission, this is our vision, this is what we want to do for our company, then they're not going to know. So
Mhm.
you always have to be very clear in what you stand for. And you have to say, okay, these are our standards. As a leader, as someone in that field, you have to communicate those things with your staff and say, hey, this is what we'll accept, this is what we won't accept. And really just hold them to that.
So putting the proper procedures and everything in place, so that we're all communicating the same message or language, as some would say, right? And we're
Hmm.
all on one accord. It'll help with the processes
Hmm.
within the company, right?
Hmm. Yeah. Because I think at the end of the day, every company has a culture, right? So some of these cultures are really set in place. And
Hmm.
sometimes a company can try to come up, can try to shift cultures. And it's like, well, that's not what we've been doing. That's not what we've been doing. Well, none of the management is doing that. So then you have an issue. So when you kind of start to onboard people and you have a culture of people that are not on time, you have a culture of people that don't do their work, don't hit their sales goals, leave the store in disarray, that is what you set that precedence. So you can't expect for your numbers to be great. You can't expect for your customers to be happy because you're not investing those types of standards in your company's culture. So it's very important that from management down that everybody is on the same page, and then start to develop those leaders, start to develop those employees in within that company.
So let me ask you a question. Um, Let me see. How can I say this? Um, so how do you get? How does an owner who runs a company needs help to communicate these ideas, or to create a company culture that is sustainable for everyone to to kind of carry out? Like,
Hmm.
so how how would an owner go about that?
So it really, I would say, during your interviewing process, being
Hmm.
very clear on what you want.
Hmm.
If you are very clear on what you want, you hire according to that standard.
Right.
So usually what happens is a lot of people, they hire fast. They hire fast and they don't care really who they're hiring. They just like, okay, well, we need people. Wrong. Because you don't want to start bringing in everybody, right? And then it's going to be a higher turnover rate because you're not hiring the
Mm.
right people. Excuse me if I just adjust this for a second. But you're not hiring the right people. So when you have those things in place to where, you have these standards of saying, okay, these are the type of people that I want. This is the kind of staff that I want. Let's start looking for those types of people. What kind of qualifications would those types of people have? And let's
Wow.
go ahead and go out there and start to search for these people and then be attractive, because a lot of companies are actually attractive to employees. And that's just another thing too to discuss later on. But a lot of times the company can be attractive, say, okay, well, wow, I know they have such a great reputation, right?
Hmm.
So if they have a great reputation, you will attract the right people, right?
Right.
So then you have to go through it and start to, okay, 90 days, however many days you want to have. So that way, that's why they have those windows of that I can let a person go, after 90 days if it doesn't work out. Kind of like a dating process, right? And they kind of
Hmm.
start to vet you within those 90 days. Are you going to be on time? Are you going to be, certain things like that? Are you punctual? Are you retaining the knowledge? Are you trainable? Are you coachable? Some of those things, within the company, and then that can maintain the culture. So if you start to hire based on the standards in which you want to set within your company, then you will have those employees.
Oh wow. That's very that that's a very interesting. You kind of given me from in an employer perspective. You know, I've been an employee for a while, right? Still an employee, even though I have, I'm still not. I'm an entrepreneur and a full time employee at the moment. But I remember in this recent interview before I landed the job, uh, the CF, the controller said to me, she says, I asked her, you know, what are you guys looking for? She says, we're looking for someone that is not just capable of doing the work, but fit the culture
Hmm.
and understand what our mission is because we help drive the ship, right? Um, we help make the ship go. And so that you just gave me like I guess I'd be a little relaxed on some of the recruiters, right? Because you know they're looking for somebody that can excel in the company. They're looking for somebody that's going to meet the standard of the company, so that the company can grow, so that the organization uh, can grow. I think that is this is really good information. Um, and
Yeah, because you.
so,
Hmm.
go ahead. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh no, you're fine. Yeah, because ultimately you don't want anybody that's going to come into your business and destroy it, right? Because that's your
Mm,
baby. If you are a business owner, you don't want anybody to come into your business and mess up the culture. Because one thing
right.
about it, when you have somebody on your team that's really like dragging down the team, and you have a positive team, and this person is very negative, that's gonna disrupt your culture.
Mm,
So you don't want to have somebody who's disruptive of your culture. Because I've seen it so
okay.
many times that people will hire people based on resumes, right? And keep them. But then what'll end up happening is they will actually say, okay, well, I don't see why they're saying that. I don't think we should do that. And it'll be very negative and disrupt the culture. And that can ultimately, you get enough of those in your boat and you're trying to row in a certain direction, you're gonna sink. And that's what happens a lot of times in companies. They end up financially sinking because they have too many people that are poking holes in their boat. So they're not able to actually sustain themselves. So what ends up happening is they have to say, okay, now where are my leaks? What's really happening? Because we were profitable, but what happened? What was the change in our culture? Did we not train our people properly? Is that what happened? Did we not train our staff properly? Are we not investing in people? Are we not adhering to these standards? Are we not holding people accountable? So that's a lot of times that's what happens. And it starts to happen in little groups, and that's what really happens within a company, because then those standards start lowering. So even if you are a company of high standards, once you start lowering your standards and you start having those people come into your organization, you start to devalue the company. And that's what I've seen a
Right.
lot of times too, that the companies will actually start to lose their value based on who they have working for them.
Right. And that's true because even like if I've been in places where the customer service was horrible, I just left. But it was created by the staff and the employee, and it seemed like to me like a cultural thing that it's normal for them to behave like that. But maybe corporate don't know what's going on down here because not. I mean, like you've been to like one McDonald's where the service was amazing, and you went to another McDonald's. It ain't that the burgers aren't good, right? It's the fact that what's being presented, and I think Byron Marcel made a statement. Like he made a statement is that you know every um every customer isn't for you, right? So you got to know who you're aiming for. And when he made that statement, because he was like, you know, somebody may like the ratchet stuff, and then someone may want to go to a culture that is more like calm, relaxed, and stuff like that. And so, yeah, I just wanted to say that that makes perfect sense what you're saying.
Yeah, absolutely. So, yeah, so you attract what you are in a
Mm,
business, in relationships, everything. You attract what you are. So if you are a ratchet business, guess who you're gonna attract? You're gonna get your ratchet customers, right?
right.
So it makes sense. If you are Mercedes Benz, or if you are one of these luxury cars, you're not gonna just attract anybody, because guess what? They can't afford you. So I
Mm,
think when a lot of times, when a customer presents themselves, they're trying to say, okay, whose money do I want? Do I want the person with a low income, or do I want somebody who has more income? Do I want somebody who
Wow.
has more discretionary income? So when they kind of start to present themselves like that, okay, whose money do I want? And that's essentially
Right.
what ends up happening.
Who? Y'all hear that? Who money? Whose munties? Let me make that. Do you want when you're engaging clientele?
Hmm.
Who do you want to
Absolutely.
attract? Your presentation is important. How you communicate is important. And so all of this is wrapped around the first statement that Diana said regarding the images that she's seen was you have to tell your story, and building your corporate culture is important. And so Diana, um, as a as an entrepreneur, right? What would you um, suggest to someone that is in the process of growing a business, for them to become customers centered? Because you can offer a great product, but if the
Hmm.
product, you can offer a great product, but if you're not customer centered, the product not going to sell.
Yeah, yeah. I think when you go into any business, you want to always become the buyer. Would you buy it?
Mm,
Because I think a lot of times people, they kind of just produce, 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 but it's like, would you eat there? Would you even shop there? When you kind of start thinking from that standpoint, when I was in the grocery business, I wouldn't put out just any produce,
mm,
because I'm like, I wouldn't eat that. Why would I expect anybody else to eat that?
wow.
So I think about those things. If as an entrepreneur and as you're up and coming, you got to think about, what am I feeding people? Is
Wow.
it something that's even good for them? When you kind of start producing things, is it something that I would actually enjoy watching, or actually enjoy being a part of, or actually, if I would even pay my money for it?
Right.
If the answer is no, you need to go back to the drawing board. If you say, I wouldn't even pay for this, you need not to
That's
produce it.
right.
Because you got to kind of think of it like that. If you're making something, would I eat that? If you don't even want to eat what you cooking, why are you feeding it to somebody else?
Yes,
And that's just
that's
what
true.
that's just what business or anything else. So I think once you kind of come into that mindset of, if I'm going to produce, it's going to be good.
It's
I
going
would
to be
eat
good.
that. I would stand by that. And then what ends up happening is that raises your level of integrity and trust within your industry, because they say, you know what, I would put my stamp on this business. I personally know this particular company is very true to who they are. And going back to company culture, if you have that mindset of saying, hey, these are our standards and this is what we uphold. We don't cut no corners. We don't hook, we don't crook, we don't do none of that. We actually have these standards of, if we're going to produce it, it's going to be good. If it ain't good, guess what? Go back to the drawing board and do it again until
Mm,
it's great. Then
right.
look
That.
at it and put out these things, because I think a lot of times what end up happening in the world is that you wanted fast money, fast products, and it was low quality. So you got
Right.
things that they are made to break. And that's not something that we should have. We should not have a business or produce things that are made to break. You want to things that used to be the saying, built to last, right?
Mm-hmm.
And people don't have that model anymore, to where they build their companies. Hey, we're built to last. We want to stand the test of time, to where even in fluctuations of the market, people are actually still purchasing from us. People are still buying, because what? We have integrity and we have reliability. So yeah, so that's
Right.
what I think about those things. I think about some of the things. I'm like, wow, I wasted my money on this. I thought this was going to be a good product. Then come to find out, it was cheaply made. And I'm like, wow, they took me for my money. And you kind of feel you feel
Bamboozled.
yeah, you feel bamboozled, you feel very upset. You like, wow, I spent all my money for this and this is what they did. Wow. Guess what happened? I'll never shop again.
Yep.
They won't get they may get it once, but I'm not going back to that place. I'll find somebody else who actually has quality and I'll spend my money there. And here's the thing, I'll even pay more for quality.
For quality, because quality lasts long.
It lasts longer.
It lasts longer. I remember me and a friend after church we had went to a restaurant, and the aesthetics were beautiful. It was in a nice area in Atlanta. It's a black owned business. You know, a lot of times I want to support black owned businesses because I rather pour my money to see other people grow. But we went into the restaurant, we got our food, we sat down. The food was horrible. It was like one piece of shrimp and his grits and shrimp that he had. The chicken wasn't crunchy. It just wasn't mathing at all. And so I think that you do mention this is why it's important to have a specialist come in and see, like he said the macaroni. The macaroni and cheese definitely was craft boxed, okay? The macaroni and cheese. They really tried us. It was from Kraft, okay? But I'm not gonna get all into that. But I'm, but Diana, this is why it's important for specialists as yourself to come in and be able to help people understand their um their pain points, because a lot of times we don't see what our pain points are. You know, for me, I'm just starting this YouTube channel, right? Where I want to be able to talk to more people like you. But there are some pain points that I've had, and so and people have told me about them, and what I've said is, what I'm going to do is I'm going to develop over time. Keep giving me your feedback so that I can develop and create a better product for those who are aspiring to be in our profession as entrepreneurs. So, how important is it for people to seek out specialists?
I think it's very important because you don't know what you don't know. And sometimes, I always say it's always something to learn from
Mhm,
everyone. So whether they feel like, oh, well, I just don't need anybody, I feel like you always need somebody.
mhm.
You always need somebody to come in and say, you know what? Have you thought about this?
Right.
Because a lot of times you'll get new ideas. She's like, wow, I didn't think about that. Okay. And then sometimes too, other people have knowledge that you don't have, right? So now you have the cheat code to knowledge that they know. So when
Mhm.
you start to hire these specialists, right, they are specialized in a particular industry. Like for myself, I specialize in retail. That is my niche. That is what I specialize in, right? That's the same as a doctor, a specialist. You go to a specialist, they can say, hey, specifically, you need to fix this. So it's really good to have those types of people who specialize in a particular industry because then you can solve the problems that you're actually having specifically, right?
Right.
So if you get somebody who's general business consultant and they're not specifically for the retail industry, you're you're
Right.
you're you're going to miss a lot of the things that you could have got from a specialist that
Mm.
specializes, that can talk directly to retail, they can talk to directly to accounting, and they can coach you and say, Jamil, did you know such and such about this industry? Oh, I didn't know about that. Okay, yeah. Okay, well, if you do this, because I've seen it being proven, try this instead. And that is
Right.
actually more valuable for your business because guess what? Then you're getting the shortcuts. That's what specialists are. They're giving you the shortcuts because guess what? They have so much knowledge that they can present to you and say, wow, I can train you in this and you can be developed. So every great person, every great entrepreneur, from the multi-billionaires have mentors. They have specialists that come in and help them with their business. So I would say never be prideful. Never be thinking that you know it all, because you don't.
Mhm.
You can never know it all. But
No.
if you have somebody else that comes in and be able to teach you those things, then you'll be more successful in the long run, because you won't have to waste a lot of time. So,
I think that is very, 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 very important for entrepreneurs to seek out assistance, because what's going to happen is you're going to save a lot of money and a lot of pain points that you're going to that you can experience if you end up doing it alone, because you can't do everything. And it also frees you up too. Um, it also frees you up to be able to do other things with your business, right? Or to maybe focus on just putting out the products while someone's helping you develop, as you said, in other areas that you need development. Um, I look at it as some people may be like, well, I can do it, but you got to think about the time that you're going to spend to get it accomplished.
exactly.
And so, time, there's a financial concept, time value of money, right? And so, um, and and so with time value of money is like, how long is it going to take you to get your return back? But you got to invest in time, right? But if you're investing here, 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 you have split your time and you're not able to really focus on one task, uh, so that you can get a return.
Mhm.
I also this concept that I've learned in economics. I don't know if you ever heard of it. It's called oh God, it's on my tongue. Um, it's when you forego one opportunity for
Opportunity
another.
costs.
Opportunity cost. Yes, thank you.
Mhm.
And so, like, you got to think about it, how much is going to free up the cost of you doing that versus someone who has the niche and the capabilities to do that type of work for you, or train you in it, to help you get better at it. And so yeah, opportunity cost. Sometimes you have to forego. It may cost some money. That's why it's opportunity cost. But you're able to put more time into this area.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So yeah, so that's essentially what happens. A lot of people, they say, "Well, I could do it myself. I could do it myself." Okay. You could, but do you really want to? That's like saying, for instance, if I have my groceries in my car and somebody say, "Hey, I want to help you with these groceries," right? You say, "No, I'm okay. I can go ahead and
Mhm.
carry my groceries in myself." You're putting more weight on yourself. You're struggling. You're wasting time. If you
Right.
could have just said, "Okay, yes, please come help me." Guess what? Now you're not straining yourself. Now you're not wasting your time going back and forth to the car. You got help. So I think a lot of times we're prideful because we're like, "Oh, well, I can take all of these things by myself," when you really don't have to.
Mm-mm.
If you just say, "Yes, I need your help," you'll save yourself a lot of time, effort, and energy. So yeah.
Yeah, I ain't anybody got time for that. Ain't nobody got time for that. I'm not gonna. I
Yes.
like. I've had people like, well, why don't you just do it yourself? I could do it myself, but do you guys understand how long it takes me to read these tax laws? You get
Yes.
what I'm
Yeah.
saying? I'm gonna pay somebody else to do my flyers. I'm gonna pay somebody else to do this or do that because it's gonna free up time. And just to get to back to the customer acquisition part of it is,
Mhm.
so that I can go out and get the clientele and bring them into the company while you guys are focusing on this project for me.
Mhm. Absolutely. Absolutely. Yeah. It's so very important to get help, to reach out to those accounting, those professionals, those beauty salon owners, hairstylists, the people in different industries that have the specialties, that have went to school for it.
Mhm.
So it's like going to the doctor. Are you just going to get anybody to just cut on you and do surgery? No. You want somebody who has been through it, You want somebody who has been to school. You want somebody who is knowledgeable. So I think a lot of times people, they don't really understand it from that standpoint of, I need somebody who is actually knows what they're doing and come and help me with this. Because guess what? Ultimately, guess what? You're gonna get to your expected end. You're gonna be successful. And
Mhm.
nobody's gonna say, "Oh, well, she didn't do it herself. He didn't, do he got help." Of course he got help.
Yep.
Yeah, and nothing is wrong with that. Actually,
Nothing.
that's very smart for you to get help. If you can afford
Mhm.
it, get it.
You, it's so funny. I was talking. I'm going to bring Marcel up again with Marcel, and also Ebony. Ebony was saying that it's important for you guys to invest in coaches,
Mhm.
right? Marcel said this is that none of us have arrived to where we are without somebody. So this whole idea of self-made, we could kind of throw that out the throw that in the garbage because you can't be
Mhm.
self-made, right? Um,
Absolutely. Mhm.
you need somebody to get to the next step. There was always somebody like when you went to school, like did, in order for you to learn your ABCs, somebody had to teach it to you,
Yeah.
right? And you became proficient in it. And so in order for you to walk, you had to see somebody else walk,
Mhm.
right? And so the importance of we needing each other to grow is very important. And is there anything else that you would like to say in regards to customer service that you feel like we have missed?
In regards to customer service, have fun.
Have fun.
Have fun. If you enjoy what you do, people are going to enjoy to shop with you. If you love what you do, and that's for every industry, have fun. If you can literally say, "Wow, I really enjoy my job. I really enjoy helping people." That's going to translate. And people are going to want to shop with you specifically because you love what you do. So I
Wow.
would say, have fun.
Ladies and gentlemen, I want to again thank the lovely, elegant Diana Trotter, the owner of Venu. I'm pronouncing it right now, y'all. Venu LLC. She is a phenomenal woman. Diana, before we go, do you want to give everybody your hashtags?
Yep. So you can find me at Venu Consulting on Instagram. You can find me at Venu LLC on Facebook. You can find me on LinkedIn at Diana Trotter, or you can look up Venu Consulting. And you can also go to dtrotter.com. Thank you.
And so, again, I want to thank you for coming on. I want to thank you for taking the time. We could talk forever, right? Because we've been on the phone forever, right? Um, but we're coming to a close. Um, are there any encouraging words that you want to say to up and coming entrepreneurs or those who are
Oh,
aspiring to
absolutely.
perfect their customer service sensitivity?
Absolutely. What I would say to up and coming entrepreneurs is just be consistent. Keep
Mhm.
going. It's going to be hard times. It's going to be times to where you want to give up. Don't give up. Just keep going. And I know that's kind of sometimes you hear that a lot, but with anything, the more you do it, the more successful you'll be and the better you'll be at what you do. So just keep going. Don't give up. So
Hey,
that's my thing. Just keep doing it.
again, I want to thank you, Diana, for the wealth of information. I want to encourage you guys to tell your story, right? I want to encourage you guys to know your customer base. I want to encourage you guys to learn how to communicate to your customers. I want you guys to understand how important your the value in your products are, right? And what the time that you invest in it. Developing great leadership or being a great leader yourself is important in terms of customer acquisition. And so there are many moving parts of customer service, or even working in a retail industry or the service industry. There are many moving parts. But in order for you guys to bring more people in to leverage, let me use that word, leverage, to leverage more clientele, you guys have to do the necessary things. And one of the necessary things I feel is being able to reach out to someone who specializes in your industry or can help you grow. Someone like Miss Trotta. I encourage you guys to go check out her website. We want to thank you. And this is our ending salute. We do the peace. Pieces. We thank you guys. You guys enjoy your day. And remember, the purpose of this show is making business relative. You guys have a blessed one. Go to check out our latest content by subscribing to Leverage TV. Make sure you like, share, and comment. Their message. And so that's what we're going to get to a point. This episode is dedicated to a young man who had a vision about his life. He envisioned himself as a doctor and a real estate mogul. He has impacted my life in so many ways. One of the very few male role models that I've ever had. This one is for you, cousin. Thank you for teaching me to be a visionary. I love you. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Leverage TV, where making business relative is our objective. My name is Jamel Cooper. I am the host of Leverage TV. I am also the owner of Leverage Accounting LLC. We serve a plethora of clients. Specifically, our services that we offer are bookkeeping, tax preparation. I also do some advanced Excel spreadsheet development. So if you're interested, just log onto the website, check it out. But I've been in business since 2016. Not only do I have experience, over 7 years of experience in the accounting profession, but I have an associate's in business, and I also have a bachelor's in accountancy. Um, I've always had a fascination for business, which is for business and understanding how it works, which is why we're here today, because I want to share. This episode is dedicated to a young man who had a vision about his life. He envisioned himself as a doctor and a real estate mogul. He has impacted my life in so many ways. One of the very few male role models that I've ever had. This one is for you, cousin. Thank you for teaching me to be a visionary. I love you. Hi, everyone. Welcome to Leverage TV, where making business relative is our objective. My name is Jamel Cooper. I am the host of Leverage TV. I am also the owner of Leverage Accounting LLC. We serve a plethora of clients. Specifically, our services that we offer are bookkeeping, tax preparation. I also do some advanced Excel spreadsheet development. So if you're interested, just log onto the website, check it out. But I've been in business since 2016. Not only do I have experience, over 7 years of experience in the accounting profession, but I have an associate's in business, and I also have a bachelor's in accountancy. Um, I've always had a fascination for business, which is for business and understanding how it works, which is why we're here today, because I want to share the knowledge that I've gained over time. My goal today is to make business relative by understanding our first characteristic of a successful entrepreneur. And so the characteristics of a successful entrepreneur is a series of conversations that I'll be having with entrepreneurs from all different backgrounds and walks of life to express, to kind of give you guys an idea of what does it mean to be an entrepreneur, and what are some skills that you can develop to be an effective entrepreneur, right? Um, and so today we're going to be discussing visionary. I believe that every entrepreneur has to be a visionary, right? I'm going to go more in detail in a minute about it. Um, but when you look around the world, and some of the most renowned entrepreneurs are are recognized as visionary leaders, right? Because they have led their organization to a profitable place, right? For the most part, many of them. I'm talking about your Elon Musk. I'm talking about your Steve Jobs, your Tyler Perry's, and there's a plethora. Oprah. There's a plethora of entrepreneurs out there that have opened businesses around the world, and that has changed lives, right? Um, and so, um, in fact, talking about this idea, being a visionary. So let me just, I was trying to make this statement. In fact, companies do not just pop up, out of thin air. Companies arise from some crazy revolutionary idea that someone had. And the reason why I say crazy revolutionary idea, a lot of times people don't understand the site or the idea or concept that someone has, right? We call these ideas visions, right? Because it had not yet just manifested. I think about Thomas Edison with the light bulb. He had a vision about about constructing a light bulb, right? Um, it was just an idea, but somehow, in some way, he was able to take that idea and make it reality, right? So now we have lights. I mean, you probably can't really see like the background, but yeah, but you can see I have lights like all over if you were sitting here with me, right? And so we use those lights every day, right? And so it's crazy, right? It was a crazy idea, and I bet I can imagine how many people probably stated to him like that doesn't work. That's not gonna work. I don't know what you're doing. You're crazy, right? And it's revolutionary. And the reason why I say revolutionary is because anything that is revolutionary is groundbreaking, right? It takes us from one level to another level. I can imagine, like, can you imagine like the shift from the Stone Age to what we know as the millennial age, where technology is at its top of where technology is literally at the top of the world, right? The technical world is basically shifting and changing lives. I mean, and so most companies, they don't, just come up out of nowhere, but there's someone who had an idea, and one, they were able to monetize that idea, right? And so people who have visions, the person carrying such an idea is what we refer to as a visionary, right? And so we're going to discuss what a visionary is. I'm going to pull up a slideshow. Um, this always helped me kind of like communicate some of the ideas that need to be communicated. Okay, so a visionary is a creative leader inspired by what starts off as an unexplainable thought. Um, and that thought can be a thought about a product, a thought about a service, an invention, or even a process, right? Because people are capitalizing off of developing processes that he or she journeys to establish in the future. And so they come up with these ideas, but the end goal, they have an end goal um, to develop it so that it exists in the future. It may not exist currently, but the idea is to get it off the ground, right? And um, so a visionary is an individual um, who has a vision, and a vision is achieved by a compilation of missions, right? So when I say a compilations of missions, I mean that there had to be like some level of groundwork in order to get it to. to get the vision to come alive. And most of these visionaries had to deal with failure, and they had some wins. You know, you have successes and failures. But I want you to think of the vision as literally the war, right? And then I want you to think the missions as the battles, right? Because there's this quote where it talks about how don't worry about, you know, the battles. It's literally the war that makes the difference. So you can lose some battles, but if you win the war, that means that you have accomplished your goal in obtaining the I guess you can say the land or whatever it is that you're trying to obtain, right? And so we want to think of vision as foresight, casting for the future. But we want to think of mission as what it takes for you to get the vision running, what it takes for you to get the vision alive, right? And so I also want to talk about what a visionary is not, right? A visionary is not controlled by the unbelief of others. And so a lot of times, many of us have ideas, and sometimes you just have to shut those people out because you can't be controlled by their unbelief about you being able to accomplish the task, right? Um, I think Steve Jobs did a heck of a job with it. Who's the owner? Bill Gates did a hell of a job with it. I mean, I can imagine that they had people tell them that it's a really dumb idea for you to even achieve or to even think of a thought like that and think that it's possible to get these computers or these cell phones off the ground, right? So you can't be controlled by the unbelief of others, right? You have to have the ability to believe in what you are dreaming about getting done. And so, and visionaries are not comfortable with the status quo. Visionaries are not comfortable with the status quo. And so we seen how the cell phone went from being a rotary phone, and then you had the landline phone, and now we have what we know today as cell phones, right? We can walk around with them. We can be anywhere, take them in the bathroom, wherever we want to go. Cell phones are literally, how can I say? Cell phones are literally cell phones are literally a part of our everyday life. And so you can't be comfortable with the status quo at being a visionary, right? And so also, a visionary gets to a point. Remember where I stated earlier that a visionary, some in the beginning, I stated earlier in my definition is that a vision is often unexplainable. But you get to a point where you are able now to communicate your message, right? To communicate their message, to communicate or be able to teach people about your product, right? And so a visionary is not unable to clearly communicate their message. And so that's what we're going to get to a point where we develop a product and we be able to communicate what it is this product does and why this product is very important, or why this service is very important, or why this process will be revolutionary for us, right? So a visionary should always know how to communicate what was once unexplainable. What was once unexplainable, we have to make it explainable, right? Um, and a visionary does not quit under pressure. Actually, pressure is necessary. I look at pressure as a necessary sacrifice, right? And so you may not have the funds, you may not have a lot of things that you need to get the thing to get the idea off of the ground, but what you have to do is not give in to pressures, right? And it's going to take sacrifice. And you may have a mildred of things or experiences that some of you are experiencing right now. You may not understand why you're experiencing it, but it all kind of maps out. Um, it all kind of maps out so so that your story is even more powerful as you're casting uh, your vision, right? And a visionary is not limited by what they have and they don't have, right? And so, as a visionary, you have to find out ways to achieve exactly what you need to get the job done or to get the idea. And some people, it's funding. For some people, it may not be funding, but it may be a group of intellects that help you bring the idea about, right? Or, so, and so, um, m- what I what I also want to talk about now is how vision is inspired, right? How vision is inspired. And there are a plethora of ways that vision can be inspired. For those of you who are faith based, vision may be inspired through your faith, right? Visions may be inspired by a dream, or visions may be also inspired by pain points. And so, pain points literally are issues, and you finding solutions to those issues. And so, I have a pretty good individual to kind of talk about um, as an example who was a visionary. He casted a vision when he was younger. And this man is phenomenal. So let's talk about Reginald Lewis, right? Reginald Lewis, I would consider him to be a visionary. Reginald Lewis is probably the first Black man to run an international um, conglomerate billion-dollar company, right? And so Reginald Lewis was born in what we know to be Baltimore, Maryland. And Baltimore, Maryland is a bit rough, but there are so many stars living in that era. And so Reginald Lewis um, was born like during the segregation times in 1942, and he lived in Baltimore, Maryland. He grew up there. Um, but the amazing thing about Reginald attended at HBCU when he graduated high school. And he, as a child, also, I want to mention that he also had a knack for business. He had his own paper route. So it was in him. And so at the age of 9, he said he wanted to be a millionaire. And so Reginald Lewis, who attended at HBCU, he ended up um, graduating and then entering in a Harvard program, right? He attended the Harvard program. And so this program it wasn't initiating him in as a student. It wasn't, I'm sorry, it wasn't initiating him in as a student um, into the law school, but he attended this program. And Reginald Lewis is the only individual in Harvard's history to ever be able to become a student or get accepted into Harvard's law school without a without applying or going through the normal process because of how bright he was. And so upon him graduating, Reginald Lewis, what he does is he upon him graduating, what Reginald Lewis does is, how can I say, upon him graduating, he assumes his first position at a law firm on Wall Street. He later resigns from that position and starts one of the first Black law firms, the first Black law firm on Wall Street, right? And then Reginald. So as you see, like Reginald had many missions that he had to accomplish, right, to get to where I'm going to start talking about some of the some of his accolades, which is phenomenal. So Reginald Lewis uh, went from being a lawyer to being a venture capitalist. And a venture capitalist, I don't know if any of you, um, one of my favorite TV shows is Shark Tank. So I don't know if any of you know that show. I've also liked The Prophet. um, TV show as well. You guys should check those out. It's a lot of business ideas and business principles. Um, but Reginald Lewis became an investor in businesses. Um, and so he was able to acquire this one company that, using a term, was it a business term called leverage buyout? Um, and so he was able to leverage enough funding to purchase the. He was able to to leverage enough funding to purchase the business, and hence, back in the 1980s, this man set on the Fortune, what is it, Forbes 400 uh, top CEOs. Phenomenal, right? And he was running $1 billion company, but it was in his, um, it was a part of his dream as a child, to become a millionaire, and so he was able to accomplish it. And so it took him being a visionary, even as a young child, and him understanding what he wanted to do. And he began to put things in places as you look at his life. Um, he went to college. He went to Harvard Law School, right? That's a mission. He accomplished that. He became a lawyer at a Wall Street firm, right? He become a lawyer at a Wall Street firm, right? So that's a mission. And then he starts one of the first black owned business, one of the first black law firms. That's a mission, right? Um, and then you find him becoming a venture capitalist, stepping into a playground where most blacks were invited, and he was able to acquire uh, a $1 billion company, right? And so I say all this in all, one of the successful characteristics of being a business owner, right? One of the successful characteristics of being a business owner or an entrepreneur is being a visionary. You have to have the ability to guide your organization, um, or your dream. You have to be able to direct it, to go on this journey to get to where you're trying to go, so that your dream can come alive. And so I want to thank you guys for taking the time to check out our first topic of this series, the successful characteristics of an entrepreneur. Um, I have a plethora of guests coming on. Oh man, these are phenomenal men and women with special talents. Um, with special talents. And so the goal is to make sure we can make this to make business relative for you guys, so that you guys can understand, not only understand, but we can create conversation. It was a pleasure. I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I look forward to seeing you guys. Please like, share, and subscribe to Leverage TV. Also, you can find us on Instagram. We at Lev Accounting, um, which is Leverage Accounting's, Instagram. And so I look forward to connecting with you guys. You guys have a great day. Bye bye. Be sure to check out our latest content by subscribing to Leverage TV. Make sure you like, share, and comment.
all realities simultaneously at any and every time. If I tap into the higher frequency, the express lane, the HOV lane,
Yeah.
right, of where that particular light spectrum is traveling, but the density that you get, now we're dealing with identity. Now we're
Mm.
dealing with politics. Now we're
Mm.
dealing with history.
Mm.
Now we're dealing with all of the things that are earthbound, right? To deal with our experience here, which is, as you know, it ain't been that long.
That's a
is our Hey everyone, how you doing? Welcome to Leverage TV, where making business relative is our objective. I'm your host Jamil. Today we will be continuing our conversation on on the characteristics of a successful entrepreneur. Our topic for today will be about being a persuasive messenger. We're going to have an opportunity to break that down. We have a special guest. Uh, Let me tell you guys, this entrepreneur is going to rock your world on this topic. I have known her for over 7 years now. And my, doesn't time fly? It definitely flies by. And while I can get deeper into how we came in contact, let me just get to the introduction. Our guest for this episode is a reigning native of the one and only Garden State. And the reason why I say the one and only Garden State, because I am from New Jersey, even though I currently reside in the Atlanta. Um, she received her formal education at Kane University, where she studied psychology and marketing, right? Her voice has echoed and continues to echo throughout sound systems across this country, right? She has mounted on several different platforms: the Brave Life Experience, Six Figure Shift Conference, the beginning, the New Beginning Brunch. She has also spoken in churches. Also, um, she's also done workshops in college for college seminars and more. With her energetic and charismatic style of speaking as a coach, this young powerhouse is the best-selling author of "Don't Muzzle Your Message." Right? She is the owner of Provisement LLC, a brand, a brand, a brand communication firm. I do apologize. She has developed life-changing curriculum through her business. She specializes in helping entrepreneurs and others amplify their voice to boost their visibility, grow their grow their tribe, and enroll clients on repeat. Most important, she is the boss mom of young Caden. Ladies and gentlemen, without further ado, please welcome Ciara Shanae.
Hey.
How are you, Ciara?
Aw.
How are you? Welcome to Leverage
I'm
TV.
doing good. I'm so glad to be here. I'm honored.
I am honored to have you here. Let's get this. So
Wow.
so like, why did you become a brand? Why did you choose to become a brand strategist?
Ooh, I honestly did not decide to be a brand strategist. I remember I went to a networking event here in New Jersey, and so I was telling them what I was doing. I was like, I'm a coach. I forget what kind of coach I was at that point. And she said, well, you must know so and so. I said, I must know. And they were like, yeah, you must know her. She's from New Jersey. She's also a coach. She's doing her thing. So I quickly looked up that person's name and fell in love with her content. And she was a brand strategist. So
Oh wow.
honestly, my first encounter, my first experience, got it strategic, set it all up. I was exposed to brand strategy at that point. And for a long time, I never thought that it was inside of me. I thought I just admired it in her and
Mm.
appreciated the work she was doing. But it was back in 2020. I do remember sitting on Siobhan's couch, stairs. I sat on Siobhan's stairs and I began to share on Instagram about the internal war that I was having on the inside of me because I didn't want to seem like I was trying to copy off of everybody else. So I think I had avoided it just for the sake of uniqueness and not trying to seem like everyone else. But if it, like I was saying to someone the other day, if it quacks like a duck and it walks like a duck,
It's a
sis,
dub.
it's a duck. So there is definitely brand strategy and a love for brands in there,
Mhm.
specifically with speakers. So yeah, and entrepreneurs with service-based business.
So, um, I guess what does a brand strategist role actually encompass? Like how, like so you go from uh sitting on the steps to becoming a brand strategist after having an encounter with somebody that actually does the work. So, what does his role actually look like?
Well, that's a great question, Jamil. A lot of brand strategists have different niches and specializations. So mine in particular, that I also was been fighting it for years, is brand visibility. And so what I can speak to is definitely that. Some other brand strategists may specialize in messaging. Some others might specialize in just the foundations of the brand. So it really depends. But for me, it's brand visibility. And so after you have the foundation of the brand laid, it's about getting your brand visible and in front of your ideal audience. And then after you're able to do that, you're able to be visible in front of new audiences. You can then grow your tribe, grow your list, and then ultimately nurture them to become your clients. And so for me, it's about getting in front of new audiences because
Mhm.
sometimes we think it's a client issue, we think it's a profit issue, when really it's a people issue, right?
Right.
We're not in front of enough people and we're not strategically placing ourselves in the right places to be seen by by the right people. So
And so, with that being said, right, visibility. What does it mean to become visible?
right.
I mean, like, how do you make your clients become visible?
Right. So there's a whole plan, right? Because a lot of us, they're like, oh, I'm showing up. I'm showing up. But typically, when we show up based on what we see other people doing and
Mm,
not having our own strategy. So you can actually exhaust yourself by showing up, but not showing up what I like to call giving your brand visibility plan SaaS, right? So it should be strategic, it should be authentic, and it should be systematic. And so authentic is the part I want to like really hone in on, making
okay.
sure that it's what fits for you. Not just like, oh, they
Mm.
say I should be on live stream, so I'm on live stream. They say I should be, doing YouTube interviews, so I'm doing YouTube interviews. And so you're just doing what you see others doing, but not necessarily having a plan that fits and suits you and your brand.
So, what we're talking about is being able to have the ability to become unique in your messaging.
Yeah, you want to be unique with the way you show up and not just copy and hope to get the same results because you see it working for someone else.
Mm. So, not only are you're helping your clients become unique, but you're helping them with the results. And
Yeah,
so I'm a math person, so I kind of see I see it like a mathematical
an
formula.
equation.
Yeah, I
Hmm.
see it as an equation, right? Um, and so when I understand my brand and what I have to offer through my own appearance and uniqueness, then I'll be able to market it to my tribe or the people that what we probably say in the church I'm called to, right? And so, um, yeah, I guess can you go in a bit more about that?
Sure. So visibility, I actually just taught about this in my Voice to Clients Lounge on Facebook. We talked about the difference between brand visibility and basic marketing, right?
Mhm.
And so a lot of people they confuse brand visibility and marketing because of the fact that they actually rely on one another. So
Right.
brand visibility, you have to market in order to be visible, but it's not exactly marketing. So
Mm.
it by definition it says, that it's being seen and experienced by your ideal audience through diverse marketing channels. And
Wow.
so when I learned in English, you can't define a word with the word in it, right? So if
Mhm.
brand visibility has marketing in it, that's a huge indicator that visibility is not necessarily marketing itself. It just requires the marketing channels in order to be visible in front of those audiences. So, for
Okay.
example, this what we're doing right now. YouTube, social media as a whole is a marketing channel, right?
Mhm.
SEO is a marketing channel, but it's a way that you're able to be visible in front of the audience is by using this marketing channel. And so I definitely wanted to share that because a lot of people, even those that say they specialize in brand visibility, are saying that they're interchangeable too, which was really shocking to me because I see the overlap and I
Mhm.
understand where the confusion is coming from, but it's not the same. It requires marketing, but it to be visible, but it's not marketing in itself.
So can you dig a bit more in detail about brand visibility?
Sure. So I'm really
'Cause this is
enjoying
new.
studying.
This is really good. This is new to me. I'm like I'm
No,
listening and I'm beginning to see the bigger picture of what you're saying about the differences. But I want you to dive into that bad boy.
so let's go into marketing campaigns. I like to call it strategic speaking campaigns. So
Okay.
anywhere where you are amplifying your voice, because I teach brand visibility by way of your voice. There's
Mhm.
other people that teach visibility in other ways by like search engine optimization, social media. I teach specifically using your voice in diverse ways so that you're visible, right? Amplifying and stretching your voice. So that's what I teach. So I say this to say, so a strategic speaking campaign, aka marketing campaign. It'll have all of the things that you need to do. So, for example, marketing is specifically connected to that audience becoming interested in buying whatever you're offering.
Okay.
Visibility doesn't necessarily market or sell the thing. It's just getting you in front of the audience and and piquing their interest enough that they connect with you and things of that nature. But marketing is focused on this is the product that we're selling, right? And so I need you to get interested. And then once you're interested, I need to tell you why you need to buy. And so
Okay.
I even understand why people confuse and say marketing and selling is are the same. But it's really like a assembly line, right?
Mm.
So I want to be visible in front of the right audience, the relevant audience, because you could be seen by anybody. But if it's not the right audience, you're not going to get the results. I'm very results driven. Jamil could tell you,
Right. You
right?
are.
And so you want to get in front of the right audience. And then let me backtrack just a little bit too. Sorry, I forgot to mention this. Brand visibility is the rate or the frequency, the amount of times that you are seen and experienced. That's what I forgot to say. So it's really tracking how many times are you seen and experienced by this ideal audience, not just being
Okay.
seen once, but they continue to see you, right? And then marketing is focused on what you're selling, right? What you're marketing or what you're promoting, and then what you ultimately want to sell. So stay with me. Stay
I'm
with
I'm
me.
I'm I'm
You with me?
I'm there.
Okay.
I'm with you.
Thank you. Thank you. I hope y'all with me too. So that's the distinction between the two. But when you have a marketing campaign, because we're again, brand visibility requires for you to use marketing channels, right? So
Mm.
when you have a marketing campaign, you might, for example, say your offer that you're selling is a course and
Right.
it's opening up at the top of the year. So right now we're in the fourth quarter at the time of this recording. And so we're in the fourth quarter. And so you're going to do a whole bunch of activities from now until January when that opens up. So all of the different things, whether you're hosting workshops, free or paid workshops, whether you're hosting live events, whether you have email campaigns, like all of the different, whether you're posting, a reel 3 times a week on Instagram, all of those different things that you do are marketing activities.
Right.
And it's a part of, if it all directs them to the same offer, that's all a part of a marketing campaign,
Right.
right? But if you are making sure that, let's say, for example, you decide, and I teach my clients this, and I love this, one of my favorite visibility ways is, or activities, is if you then become a guest trainer or a guest coach or speaker inside of someone else's program, and they're your ideal audience. First of all, they already paid in the program, so they're primed and probably not gonna like blink an eye to invest in you too. But you can definitely do something before them and then get them along this marketing campaign and get them to opt into something that you're offering to get them into your funnel. And I know I'm saying some jargon and
Right.
terminology, but I can't go into funnels today. But get them, let's say, get them on your email list or your waiting list for your program that's happening in January. Now you're visible in front of an ideal audience. So now they're on this list, and this list, let's say, has an email sequence connected to it.
Right.
And the email sequence, so now they're getting emails from you. They also, let's say, because the email in the signature says, follow me on Instagram, they're not following you on Instagram. So when you post that reel, they're seeing that reel that's promoting that workshop, and that workshop is going to promote your offer that's at the end, that's starting at the top of the year. It's marketing. However, the all of those times and touch points that they saw you
Mm-hmm.
is the visibility part.
Mm.
Marketing, you could be marketing to brand new people all the time, and that doesn't necessarily nurture that audience. It's being able to even keep up with Stacy with the red shirt that was in that group program. You now know that she's on your Instagram. You now know she just watched your new YouTube video. You know she came to your workshop. You know she's opening up all of your emails. So by the time you get on a discovery call with her, that's a whole nother conversation for another day.
Yes.
She has touched you. She has touched your brand and engaged with your brand enough where most likely she's ready to buy on that call if she qualifies.
Mm-hmm.
And she may be ready to join into that program that's at the top of the year, hypothetically, right? And so that's what visibility is, but it requires all of the different marketing
Marketing.
things in place that connect with one another. It's not just, oh, I just got to show up, so I'm just throwing up a bunch of random stuff.
Mm-hmm.
No, and it's about being seen consistently and the rate and the frequency of which you're seen by that person. So you
Okay.
should be counting. It's a numbers thing, right? You might like it.
Yeah, I might. Well, I definitely need to get out there more in terms of brand visibility. So, what I'm gathering, what you're saying is this: marketing is the funnels. Marketing is the platforms that you choose to use to get your visibility out there, right?
In a sense, yes.
In a sense, or more so the product, right? Because
Right, right,
the
right.
visibility is what attracts the client or the consumer. Am I right? And it connects them to the product, but it's connected. Am I making sense when I say that?
You are making sense. So visibility, simply put, is getting you in front of that audience.
Audience. There you
So that later they could be marketed to and promoted and sold to and all of those things. But if they don't see you, they could forget about you. You could become no longer relevant. They could
go.
buy from
Mhm.
somebody else. A lot can happen if they don't continue to see you. Visibility can cause for them to trust you more because it's like, oh,
Right.
she is. Like one of my past clients literally told me this week, and I'll pass it back to you. She said, "You are doing your thing," and I was like, thank you. What made you say that? Because I mean, I could take that compliment, but I wanted to know really where was it coming from. And I'm
Uh-huh.
so glad I asked because it was a visibility thing. She was like, every time I log onto Facebook, I see a post from you. I see you going live in the Voice to Clients Lounge. I'm receiving all of your emails. This is a client that has already paid me, right? So
Mm.
imagine the experience that a new person is having. She already knows me. I'm ingrained in her mind. But new people are also having it. She's like, oh, you just had a workshop? and you got another one coming up. Like, so she sees, she can't avoid me. So it's like I always try to say visibility is like a hug. Like you should be like surrounding them, and everywhere they look, they're like, there goes Sierra again. Like, so I say, this is what I say, when you speak somewhere or you amplify your voice somewhere, you want to make sure you don't go from meet to delete. And visibility is what allows you to do that. So they can delete you in their memory if they
Wow.
haven't seen you for a while. But if
Wow.
you don't, if you choose to not go from meet to delete because you are implementing visibility strategies, they continue to remember you and ultimately buy and work with you.
So it's like a relationship in somewhat of a sense.
Absolutely.
You have to, in order to keep the relationship moving, to keep the relationship going, is that you have to continue to engage in conversation. So, and so once, like you said earlier, you build trust that way,
Yes.
right? It's just not trust in terms of the product, but trust in terms of knowing that you are available, right? And that you are consistent with getting the product out there to the consumer. And so I wanted to get a little. I wanted the reason why I asked you that, and we're going to dive more into our topic, is
Mhm.
because I want people to understand how the topic actually connects with what you do as an entrepreneur, as a branding strategy. Am I saying it right? Brand strategy.
You're
No,
good.
yeah,
Brand strategist, brand visibility strategist,
yeah,
either or.
brand visibility strategy. Brand visibility strategy is floating on the screen at the bottom. So, but but yeah. So in saying all of this and understanding the difference between marketing and brand visibility, um, what do you believe? I mean, why do you believe it is important for an entrepreneur to be a persuasive messenger? Why do you believe that?
So I was thinking about this earlier and I was like, because I remember you and I, we had an offline conversation, and persuasiveness has such, especially in entrepreneur online space, it has such a bad connotation.
Hmm.
And so I got caught up into that, honestly. But I'm a words person. So, and then Jamil was like, no, but really look at the words. And so, you know, it also has some synonyms of like effectiveness. And that's a wonderful word. We want to make sure that we're effective, right? But when I really began to think more about it, because persuasiveness and persuasive writing is in law with the attorneys and all of that, and I wanted to be an attorney at one point. Another story for another day. But I began to think about the work that I do and the type of speakers that I brand and develop.
Mhm.
And I'm like, they are persuasive,
Right.
right? Because we speak to seize stages, to leverage our speaking so that we can absolutely get in front of prospective clients, fill our funnels. So at the end of the day, we're not speaking with fluff. We're coming with much value, expertise, specialty, and we want you to ultimately, eventually, get into our signature program so we can transform your life,
Right.
right? If it's transforming your business, ultimately that flows over to your life. And so there is an element of persuasiveness,
Hmm.
but it's not the persuasive, like the hands on intentional persuasiveness. It's just the message is strategically and systematically set up that it persuades you. And so, by definition, persuasiveness, off the top of my head, what I recall, was about causing for people to do a thing and believe, right?
Mm.
And so now they trust you. They believe that your business has what it needs to take it to the next level for it to get the outcome it desires. And so because you did your thing, you dominated your speech, you did it, you did it, you did it. They heard you on an interview, a podcast, whatever it was. Now they decided to take action. You don't have to be persuasive or convincing. It's just the way you do what you do, how you shut things down, how you show up, that
Right.
they automatically take action. Of course, you have to have a call to action that tell them and ask them to do something. But it's ultimately just all of the value that you provided that makes them want to connect and take that next step. That in itself is a persuasive messenger. And I was like, I'm so here for it because I am. And so it's really about purifying our perspective around that word because it's got a bad rep.
Right. It does have there are a lot of words in the English definition that has negative connotations, like even the word judgment, but we're not going to go too far in that.
Okay.
Um, People be like, well, don't judge me. But judgment literally is making a decision between facts. When you go into the courtroom, the judge makes decisions based off of the facts that are presented, and we make decisions every day. And so, to be persuasive, um, I feel like it's an important element in being an entrepreneur, right? Let's take out the negative connotation. I'm glad you went and did your research.
I did my homework.
but it's being influential, right? um
Mhm.
like you said, causing a desired result. And so I can't imagine not having the ability to be able to communicate with clients what I'm trying to do, right? And how I'm trying to help them get to the desired result that they want from me. I remember when I did your course, Dominatrix Speaks, right?
Dominatrix
And
speech, yeah.
yes, I remember when I went through the course, and like I was like, I never even really thought about it in the way that you were teaching it, how it is important that when you get before people, you're delivering a message that's going to impact them, but it's also going to push them to want to purchase your product. And so now when people are thank God for the course. So now when people are encountering me, I know my message. I know why I do what I do. I know why it's important to communicate to the client, like, look, this is what I'm here for, and this is what I'm trying to do for you, you know? And so I think that is really, really important. So
Thank you. I think so too. I think it's the missing piece for a lot of speakers. If I could come up with another P to put in front of messenger, I would. I guess I got one. So I feel like a lot of speakers start out as personable speakers, right? I mean, personable messengers. They're just like, I just want to be friendly and nice and share my story. But when you become the persuasive messenger, you understand that you want a desired result
so
and that your words have the power to influence them to actually do that thing. Telling your story might make people cry, might be a tearjerker, people might be able to relate, but it doesn't necessarily. Stories can sell, but a part of something bigger. The story in
right.
itself is just, thank you for the ad. Baby boy is up. He's up. But telling the story in itself won't sell people into your signature program. So you want to make sure that your message is persuasive all by yourself. So I definitely agree. People are missing that everywhere, all the time.
Because you can
Because
have an amazing product. You can do services great, like you can offer great services, but at the end of the day, you if you don't have the visibility or the marketing or the right message to draw the people, you know, you're going to miss out on prospective clients.
okay, that part, all of that. I love what you say. The message, the marketing, the visibility, all of those matter and play a part. They play a major role.
Now, I know that part of what you do, right, is helping
Mhm.
people create their message. Can you give us one pointer? Just one pointer. Hey, hey, y'all just don't know. He's a part of her message.
Okay. He's like, I just woke up from my nap.
Right.
One pointer for someone that wants to get their message together. Typically, when I get started, I always start with specialty. So the first part of my voice to clients method is specialty. So
Hmm.
before you even try to formulate a message, you want to know what are your top three speaker specialties. And
Right.
so a lot of times we are very opinionated speakers. We have a lot of things that we can talk about. And when we begin speaking out of eagerness, haste, excitement, we just jump up and talk about a whole bunch of things, and that impacts our brand. And people can't keep up with what to know us for, right? So you want to think about your specialties, because then you're going to be consistent with those top three things, which then causes for people to familiarize themselves with your message. And ultimately, when you reach that specialist status, you then become a sought after speaker. It happens to me. People come looking for me to speak. I don't always have to look for speaking opportunities. I don't always have to apply. I don't always have to pitch, right? It's literally people are like, hey, I want you on this and that, because I have began to show up as a specialist. So that's the first thing that I would say. Don't just start talking about any and everything. Start talking about specific things that align with your specialty.
So, in other words, y'all, yeah, up and coming entrepreneurs and entrepreneurs who are trying to figure out how to garner more clientele, it is extremely important that you niche out your message, is what she's saying. Because if you niche it out, you'll understand. If you niche it out, you'll be able to. If you niche it out, you'll even understand more of your product than you understood before. Because me being leverage accounting, and my part of my message is what I've learned in her dominatrix course,
Domination
what,
speech.
dominatrix speech, right? Course, um, was that um, leverage is a huge part of my story. I mean, a part
Hmm.
of my message and my niche with accounting. And so my goal is to help consumers or my clientele be able to leverage the information that is provided through the tax information or the accounting or the bookkeeping so that they can make profitable decisions. And so if you are if you get you have to get to a point where you're able to communicate your message, especially being visionaries, because we're visionaries and sometimes it's hard to communicate your vision, but it the vision starts off hard to communicate, but I think at a point you become um at a point every entrepreneur should become, how can I say it? At a point every entrepreneur should become a specialist with their message, in
Yes.
terms of vision. Go ahead, I'm
Show up
sorry.
as the specialist of your message.
And so, Ciara, you deal with like an array of different type of clientels, uh,
Hmm.
ministers, entrepreneurs, people who just want to be coaches. So you deal with so many different people who want to empower people who are authors and stuff of that nature.
Hmm.
So, what is what has been one of the biggest obstacles you have seen um, that you have seen? What has been one of the biggest obstacles that you have seen your clientels face?
That is such an awesome question. I would say this is what I would say. Last night or yesterday in my newsletter, I talked about the start and stop visibility cycle.
Hmm.
And that's what I call it, the start and stop visibility cycle. Because we'll start showing up and then we'll stop. We'll start and we'll stop. And then we'll get in our heads about starting again because we feel so ashamed that, they're gonna say, where was she at? Where she been at? Where'd
Right.
she go? Because you fell off the planet, you became MIA. And so, of course, there's more to it, but I was talking to them about the power of planning, right? And
Mm.
it really is that, like, the more prepared, the more prepped, the more planned you are, the more easier it is to remain visible. So it goes back to what we talked about earlier. A lot of people don't have marketing campaigns, strategic speaking campaigns, brand visibility uh, action plans. They don't have that in place. And so they got an idea, an inspiration of what they can do today, but or maybe even tomorrow or 3 days from now. But then after that, they get to a drought. And it's because they started without having a plan. And so now they've stopped. And that's what causes the cycle. And so I find that happening a lot. And so visibility, it has a lot to do with what I like to call message momentum. And so
Mm,
I ran track, and if you're into science, you understand momentum. But it's you gotta keep the momentum up when it comes to visibility, because when you start drawing like down, it's like the news. When the hype is over, no one's talking about it anymore.
that's true.
And so you want to remain on the top of people's minds and conversations, and so you want to keep that momentum. So the start and stop really hurts a lot of their brands, but it's an obstacle because they don't work. Uh, because I like sometimes they think they can DIY brand visibility. Oh, I know, I'm showing up, I got it. Okay, you got it until you don't, right? And
Right.
so you have to have the outside person like myself a part of your team.
No, I definitely see it as a benefit to have someone who can also someone who can keep you consistent, right? It's like almost like an accountability partner, right? And making sure that your messages is being heard.
Yes. Yep, because we created the plan. We want to see it we want to see it executed and
Mhm.
implemented.
And
Plan
so
is not just for paper.
it's not for paper, it's for execution. I like that.
Okay, it's for
That
production.
that that for me is a t-shirt that I made.
Okay, go for it. You heard it here on Leverage TV.
On Leverage TV. I'll make sure you get some royalties for that.
It is all good. Just send me one in the mail. And
But
Kate didn't want one too.
I think I was talking to Ebony, uh, the publishing coach,
Hmm.
and I asked her a question in the beginning, and her response was, I said, "Ready, set, go," and I asked her to, kind of release a phrase out. So she goes, "I want to say go, but you know, I'm about to say wait." But she said, for the sake of the show, we're gonna say go. And I responded to her, and I'm like, look, let's take a step back. How about we say ready, set, wait, then go?
Mm,
Because you have to be ready to go. But in order to make sure you're ready to go, you got to make sure that there's a plan in place. You got to niche it out, bad. You got to niche it out, right?
yeah.
And 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 then you'll be set to go. But you may have to wait a little because you may have to um I don't want to use I'm going to use it right now, recalibrate. That's not the word that I want to say. You may have to recalibrate or revisit. There you go. Revisit the message to make sure you're hitting every point, every bit of points that are going to attract the clientele to you. And so when you're saying plan and planning is important, I definitely concur with you with that. And so um, would you give us some pointers on planning?
So this is what I'll say. When you want to start, Kaden has pointers too.
Kaden, he does have points.
He's like, I plan. So when you want to prepare to plan, you want to make sure you look at the bigger picture,
Mhm.
right? So going back to the example that I talked about earlier, when we talked about you having this offer at the start of the year. So the bigger picture is everything that I put together in my brand visibility plan and my marketing campaign should point back to that offer, right? So the bigger picture is that I want to enroll people into that signature program, which is that offer. If you don't have the big picture in mind, you just plan a bunch of pieces that don't
Right.
really connect, and there's not really a puzzle. So it's like, imagine finding three. I mean, people don't really play with puzzles anymore, but you get the visual.
I got the visual.
Imagine people have, there being three boxes of puzzles that were already open, and then somehow they fall on the floor. Then you pick them up and you're like, oh, I like this piece. This is a pretty piece. And I like this piece. This is a pretty piece. It looks like these two fit. So you try to squeeze them together, and they're from totally different boxes. That's what typically happens sometimes when we don't prepare to plan. We don't have the bigger picture in mind, but we have a bunch of pieces of a plan. Doesn't mean
Mm,
that that workshop wasn't good. Doesn't mean that that event wasn't good. Doesn't mean that that speaking engagement that you accepted wasn't good, but the theme didn't align with the campaign that you're currently running.
right.
So now you're talking about self care because they asked you to, but you're selling a program that talks about investing. I'm just saying, for example,
Right.
right? So now the people that you met at that event that were interested in self care, they're not necessarily interested in investing, and so you can't. They may, but they're not necessarily interested in that. And so you got to think about the overall picture. That's definitely that's crucial, because I didn't do that in the beginning either. I was guilty of just putting a bunch of pieces together and hoping that it worked and that they connected and would stick, and fit.
Right.
But it doesn't work that way.
No, that is very, very important because then you'll find yourself just putting information out there, but the information is not connecting, like you're saying. Like,
The message
and
is not connecting. They're like, I saw you, but I'm not interested.
right, because it seems like it's all over the place at that point, right?
Yep,
You
you
know,
lost
and
them.
we lost them. And so, okay, let's see what else we have here. Let's talk about your book. So, I feel like being a persuasive messenger, you have to convince yourself of the message first.
Mm.
I'm going to read this quote by
Oh,
Dr. Maya Angelou. I was going to post
oh.
it, but I'm going to read it. Um, she says, "There is no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you." Right? There's no greater agony than bearing an untold story inside you. And so don't muzzle your message. Um, creates an opportunity for people who have so much inside of them to be able to release um, their message. And so let's talk about your book, um, and why you chose to write it.
I love it. So let me start with why I chose to write it. Uh, I was actually on my way to go to a business conference for women, and it was in Virginia, if my memory serves me well. And I remember being in the car with a couple of my female friends. I was volunteering for the event, so I was able to get in, you know, by working the event. In exchange, I was able to give free tickets to my friends. So, whoop whoop. It was the last year of this conference. Um, it now no longer exists. And so I was like, I gotta make it. I've been missing it for the last couple of years. And just randomly, the title came to my mind. Don't muzzle your message. It's like I heard God speak it to me. And so a lot of people they name the book after, and sometimes that's easier because
Hmm.
you now know what the bigger picture. You now know what all of the pages are going to be filled with and what could sum up the book in one phrase or sentence. But for me, it was the opposite. I had the title, nothing on the inside. And so I feel like God is telling me to write this title, and the title hit me hard. I loved Don't Muzzle Your Message. I love alliteration, so I just love the way it sounds. And I was like, wow, I gotta write this book. And instantly, the bigger picture came to my mind. I can't stress this enough because I honestly I do this. Is that I was already doing what is now called dominatrix speech, but I would give them Google Doc questions. And I said, I want to elevate this experience for my students. I feel like, the Google Doc serves its purpose. They get the questions, they get to answer them, we get to discuss them, and the breakthrough happens. But what if they had a book, a
Right.
required test? Because I just love my college experience, right? What if I had a required book for this particular training? And so that's when I began to call on friends. I got back acquainted with Ebony as well, who helped me to actually self publish that book. She did the formatting and things and uploaded it. Amazing job. And then my girl Takima helped me to structure it, who I just did the Brave Life experience with. I helped her to co-host it. And so I said, I have this book. I never really wrote a book. I kind of know what I want to talk about, but I have no idea. And so that's when Takima and I talked about it, and I decided that I was going to share a few of my muzzled moments, right? And so each chapter has a story of mine, story of my students that went through dominatrix speech, and how we became unmuzzled, because a lot of people meet me now, the boldness, the audacity, the vocal invisible side of me, and they don't remember her, but I do. And so I had to remind them that not only do I relate, I've been there, because I
Right.
haven't caused myself to not remember. And so, in essence, that's why I wrote the book, to be a better supplement for dominatrix speech, and not realizing that overall people needed the message in general, whether they were an entrepreneur, a speaker, or not. It's just the fact that people have a lot locked inside, a
Hmm.
story that's untold. And it is an agony that sometimes they don't realize until someone tells them, like, they don't know they have a muzzle on their mouth or on their
Wow.
message until someone says, you need to take it off. And they're like, wait, I do. And so it's
Hmm.
been very freeing, liberating, transformational book all by itself. And I never saw I didn't know the vision that God had for it. And he even began to do the work in me. He told me I was still muzzled in many different
Wow.
areas. Yeah, even after putting the book out, he still was like, "You're still muzzled." So, it's a whole experience, and I'm still
Right.
living it out.
That's pretty interesting. Don't muzzle your message. And so, like, first of all, your whole journey of like get arriving to it is that you just had the vision of it. It was just literally the words, but you didn't know practically all of the content that was going to go into this book. I mean, it was just the title, but you didn't know all of the content and everything that was getting ready to go into this book, and how it's going to literally liberate people to be able to communicate. Because I think Mama Terry says this to us. She says the greatest. Uh, he said she. I think she probably got it from Dr. Miles Monroe, but where there are the greatest place where there is a lot of lost potential. I'm going to paraphrase it. A lot of lost potential is the graveyard.
Mm.
And the reason why it's the graveyard is because So many people died in agony with ideas, with thoughts, with inventions, you know. But had they had someone like you to unmuzzle the message, right?
He said
They would
that's
have been
right.
able to. He said, "That's right." Hey, Kaden. They would have been able to be able to execute, right? As we were talking earlier. And so I think that I read the book. The book is phenomenal, ladies and gentlemen. And our purpose for this show today was to let up and coming entrepreneurs and aspiring entrepreneurs and people who are currently entrepreneurs but don't really have any direction right now, just need a little bit more imps. There's some missing parts of your business that you wanted that you want to learn more about, and connecting with people who can help you get your message out, to help you unmuzzle it, so that you can garner the not only profitability, but you can gain freedom for yourself. Right.
Yes,
It's important. And
very.
yeah, I guess we're coming to a close. CC, is there, um, before we go in? Oh, wait. I have a game. Normally, I do the games in the beginning of the show, but
We're gonna play a game.
I know Ciara, because then she probably would have knew like all of the questions that was coming up after. She's just that intellectual. But okay, so we're gonna go out. We're gonna close out with a game,
Yeah.
and then I'm gonna ask you to give your hashtags, or how people can reach you, and then you
Hmm.
can also leave a message for the entrepreneurs. So, all right. So we're gonna play the game.
Okay.
Actually, we're gonna play the game. You're gonna leave off with a message, and then you're gonna end it with your hashtags.
All right.
All right. Three things. All right. So first, let's do this. Can you see that image?
Yes.
Can you see that image? All right. She's an impromptu individual. So Ciara,
Is that a king?
that right there is a chess piece.
Yeah, is that the
It's
king or the queen?
that
I'm not sure. Is that the king?
I believe that's the king. Hold on. Let me Google it.
I think it's the king, but I'm not quite sure. Chess was not my board game, but I like it. Okay.
That is the king.
Okay. Whew.
Okay. So Ciara,
Yes.
can you give us an example of a persuasive message
Mm.
off of these images?
Yes. So a lot of people don't they don't realize how I got into speaking. That it literally I was strategically sent out by the king because Sierra had a muzzled message. She was shy in all of her communication classes, public speaking classes. She didn't feel like she had a voice, but she always used her voice, always when she was a child, to stand up and defend others when they were bullying, whether it was her or someone just nearby. So she thought that she was going to go down the path and go on the journey to law school, to defend, to be a defense attorney, and to do what was right until she got a little bit more knowledgeable about the career path. And so she ended up going on what she calls her purpose discovery journey, which is what you see in the middle. Okay. It had its hills, it had its ups, its downs, it had some greenery along the process because there were some things she enjoyed. It wasn't all bad, it wasn't all rainy, it wasn't all dirt roads, right? And then she got to the last picture that you see where she's actually coaching, and she's bright yellow and full of happiness and fulfillment and getting her clients results with what she does. And so she wrote the book, Don't Muzzle Your Message. And with that, that was the required text for her course, Don't Muzzle, Dominate Your Speech, which who is actually there is Lisa. Shout out to her. She went through Dominate Your Speech. And so there's so many speakers now because of her path, because of her journey, that are no longer muzzling their message, dominating their speech, leveraging speaking engagement so they can fill their funnels and get in front of their ideal audience so they can get prospective clients enrolled into their signature programs. All because this one shy and sometimes quiet, believe it or not, extroverted, perky, light skinned, premature, bullied when she was younger, speaker, woman, boss mom, decided to go on the journey first. And so, like Harriet Tubman, she could not leave everybody behind her after she set herself free. She had to go back and show them how it's done. And so that's exactly what she does. That's Sierra Shanae, y'all. Sierra Shanae in short, but it was the king. It was God. I never would have thought in a million years that I would be doing and loving and actually liking what I do now. Jamil Cooper of Leverage.
I love it.
I was like, I
I
feel like that's
love
the
it.
king. And it's so funny because it immediately made me think of God, the king of all kings, you know?
I love it. So, Cece, I'm gonna drop down one more time.
Okay.
I'm gonna ask that you. I feel like you gave a motivational speech for the entrepreneur, so you probably can skip that. But if
Okay.
you want to talk about how everybody can get in contact with you, how they can reach you, what do you have? What are you currently working on? Any special projects, where they can connect with you at, all that good stuff. It's all yours.
Okay. Well, thank you. Oh, that's so cute. Okay, I'm back. I'm back. Pull it in, Sierra. I like it. I really would love for all of you guys to connect with me at iamsierrashanae.com. I am Sierra Shanae pretty much everywhere except LinkedIn. But you can still type in Sierra Shanae. You should be able to find me there. I'm trying to give it some love in the LinkedIn space. But definitely connect with me. The last thing I want to leave with you is that you the decision is yours. You get to decide if you're going to be the muzzle or the magnet. I so hope and truly pray that you decide to be the client magnet rather than be muzzled. And Kaden says, "Hi everybody, I'm here."
Ladies and gentlemen, again, I would like to thank you once again, Sierra Shanae, for taking the opportunity to accept this offer to come on and, I guess, fellowship, hang out, interview,
Yes.
being able to take on this challenge of a persuasive messenger, so that young entrepreneurs, even older entrepreneurs, successful entrepreneurs, entrepreneurs on their way to success, right? We want to cover everybody. We would just want everybody to understand that there are some characteristics that you need as an entrepreneur in order to progress and in order to succeed. And so, as our going out, what we're going to do is do our peace sign, and we're going to close this. And I want to thank you guys again for joining us. Again, thank you for joining Leverage TV. We're making business relative is our objective. Go to check out our latest content by subscribing to Leverage TV. Make sure you like, share, and comment.
My sister always has a savings account, and I'd be like, that was my personal line of credit. I'd be like, Angela, I'm about to miss payroll again, and she'd be like, okay. I'm like, I'll pay you back in 3 weeks. She's like, okay, again. I make payroll, then I gotta make it back, then I gotta pay her back, so now I'm still not getting paid. This is what I'm talking about when I say you have to be relentless.
Hey everybody, how you doing? Welcome to Leverage TV. We're making business relative. Welcome to Leverage TV, where we make business relative.
Yes.
Right. And what I mean by making business relative, we simplify it. We make it understandable for upcoming entrepreneurs. Our purpose is to help motivate, also create conversation about business. And so today, we're currently going to be talking about, we're going to continue our conversation about the characteristics of a successful entrepreneur. And this episode, we're going to be talking about being a risk taker is a characteristic. The man that I am about to introduce to you all is a master cosmetologist and entrepreneur. He's the owner of the Byron Marcel Experience LLC. He has been doing business for over 2 years legally, right?
Yes.
Legally.
Yes.
With the LLC being established for 2 years. He's been in the cosmetology industry for over 20 years. He has worked with celebrities, right? Business entrepreneurs, authors, brides. His work goes array. Just to name a couple of the people he has worked with. He has worked with Drea from the Basketball Wives. He has also worked with Rosina, and as you can see, this is some of his work. Rosina is the biz lawyer, right? Am I saying that right?
Yes.
You guys got to check out.
Trademark.
Yes, phenomenal trademark attorney. And so today I asked Byron to come on because first off, me and Byron met. We live in the same complex, right? And so and we just clicked on many different levels, on the faith level and also on an entrepreneurial spirit level. And so I couldn't find anyone else to actually represent this next conversation of a characteristic of a successful entrepreneur for being a risk taker than Byron himself. So Byron, how would you define risk?
I would define risk as anything that makes you scared. Anything that makes you in any way fearful, like, oh my gosh, should I really do this? Oh my God, this could go wrong and all that stuff. Like that's how I see it.
That's how you see it.
Yeah.
It's definitely that. It's definitely that, right? When you're dealing with risk, is like there's always an opportunity of failure. It's something can go wrong. It's like you're taking everything that you're just, I don't like how you can explain it is that risk is literally putting everything on the line.
Yeah.
And so, before we go deeper into the conversation, I want to ask you, why did you choose the cosmetology profession?
Well, I feel like the cosmetology profession was given to me. I don't even know if you can say I chose it
Chose it.
necessarily.
Okay.
I was a salon kid um, since birth. Like my mama did hair, and I was always around it. So like, if you can remember back in the day, I don't know if you know about it, but if you can remember back in the day um, when they used to spray spritz on ponytails and on like tracks, and then roll it up and put the hair in the microwave, and the whole house smelled like burnt up
Burnt.
spritz. Like I was there. I saw it all. Like I was a salon kid. And so I feel like the life chose me. And then once I did it, I was like, oh, well, no. Once I did it and I got paid, I was like, oh, this could be a this could be something.
So it's the bag that comes along with the profession
I
that you feel
mean,
like you were gifted with
Yeah.
since birth,
Like,
right?
because I mean, don't get me wrong. I love like I think what makes me do it is, making people happy and seeing the smile on people's faces and, being able to give women that
Uh-huh.
extra boost of confidence.
Right.
But I mean, the money doesn't hurt either.
I mean, he not only give women extra boosts of confidence, extra boost
Yeah.
of confidence. I
Right.
mean, he just did my braids. I'm going to show you guys a clip later, and I'm definitely feeling confident at the moment. So Byron, how was it growing up in the salon?
Oh,
What connected you to it?
so, um, honestly, I don't know what it was that actually connected me to it, but just being around it, and I'm a visual learner, so
Right.
like I would see it all the time, and then like I think, well, okay, my little sister was born on my 9th birthday, and so before that, like I wouldn't have nothing to practice on, but when she was born, then we had dolls in the house and stuff, and so I'm like, well, shoot, let me practice. And I mean, but even before my little sister, like, I have twin cousins who are girls, and so when we would go to like, when we go to McDonald's and whatnot, I used to be like, oh my god, I hope they give me a girl toy because I really want this doll to play with the hair. Like, so I mean, I think like with just that, like hair was just it always interested me.
Just always interested you. Oh, that's pretty cool. That's pretty cool. So, you're living in Atlanta,
Mhm.
right? You're originally from where?
I'm originally from Tallahassee, Florida.
And so, what made you leave Tallahassee, Florida, to come to Atlanta? Out of all places, you could have went to so many different places, but one, why Atlanta, and then two, what made you leave?
So I feel like I always knew it was gonna be Atlanta
Right.
when I left home. But that's really because like so in Tallahassee we have a HBCU, FAMU. Shout out to the Rattlers.
Okay.
And but we used to like my mama is a diehard football fan, and she's a FAMU alumni. So they had this classic up here. I don't even remember what it's called, but they had a game here every year, and we was here every year without fail. And I don't know, it was just always something about Atlanta. I don't know what it was, but it was just always something. And so I tell everybody like Tallahassee is a college town. And I feel like it's no in between for real. It's either you in college or you starting a family and settling down.
Right.
I'm not a part of either one of those things anymore. So, naturally, I had to look outside of the city because I wanted to grow in my career and I wanted to just do more. And I wanted to do a lot of things that Tallahassee wasn't offering me. And so I came to Atlanta, and yeah, it's been it's been a wild ride, but it's been good.
It's been a wild ride, right?
Yeah.
And so I think that because you guys will hear about my journey in another episode, but we're here, we talk about Marcel. So I think that like home uh sometimes can be very comfortable.
Yes,
It can be a
absolutely.
very, very comfortable place to be. And taking the journey to go to unfamiliar territory,
Hmm.
um, there can be a lot of risk associated with that.
Yeah.
But I also believe that with the risk, there is a level of growth. So, did you feel like you could not no longer grow in Tallahassee, and that's why you had to get up and go? Based off of what your reasonings were, it was either college or getting married, and that wasn't what
Yeah.
it was for you,
No.
right?
No.
So, what was it for you that wanted to come to Atlanta to grow?
Um, for me coming to Atlanta to grow, I just felt like it was, to me, I saw it as like the land of opportunity.
Mm,
And like, it's just so many successful Black people
yes.
here in Atlanta. And I
Mhm.
just felt like, I'm like, I can make it. I can do it.
Right.
And don't get me wrong, this wasn't my first attempt at Atlanta.
Okay.
I made my first attempt at Atlanta back in 2016, and I came up here without a plan. And I'm just like,
Really?
it's so much opportunity. Like I'm gonna make it. It's nothing.
Mhm.
Lies. Because like I came and I'm just like, yeah, I'm gonna go up there. I'm gonna get in the salon and life gonna just take off and it's gonna be lit. And it was like, no,
No.
not actually. That's not how this is gonna go.
Right.
And so I was here maybe 6 months. But I wasn't like consistently here for 6 months. Like I'm talking
Okay.
about like I had clients calling from back home and they like, oh, you coming back this weekend? And I'm like, absolutely, because I'm like, I gotta go
Gotta
get
get that
this money.
bag.
Like but and I was like every 2 weeks, sometimes 1 week, like it just got to the point where I was like, I'm really wasting my time, I'm wasting my money and my gas and all this. Like it's a waste because like I'm not like I don't live in Atlanta for real. I'm still
Right.
going back home and doing hair, and it was mainly because I didn't have a plan. Some people can do it and some people can't, but
Right.
it was a learning experience for my story.
So you had to retreat back home,
Absolutely,
basically.
yeah,
And so you being back home, you took a risk being out here
yeah,
without being I was just reading an article and they said that an entrepreneur, one of the skills of an entrepreneur is is being able to have being able to make decisions based off of calculated risk.
hmm,
So at this point, you didn't really assess all of the things that will come with being here
nope,
in Atlanta. So you failed.
right.
And so how did that happen? Like, can you give us an example?
Of what, like how I failed?
Yeah, like
Um,
what sent you back packing home? That's the question.
what sent me back home was like, I was just like, this, this ain't that. This ain't like, this ain't what I envisioned in my head that it was gonna be. Like, and I was like, I'm like, whatever. At that point, I was like, the money is calling from home.
Right.
The money ain't calling from Atlanta.
Atlanta.
So while I do have like 2 or 3 people here in Atlanta, I got way more than that calling from back home. I'm about to go back home and I'm about to just, it is what it is. Like, but it taught me that failing is okay.
Uh,
Like, failing is a part of the journey.
it is.
And if you never fail, how can you grow?
That's
Like,
true.
because okay, like you never find out what not to do.
Mm-hmm.
If everything is just so smooth sailing, like you don't really get life's lessons through
Mhm.
just coasting along. And I'm just climbing to the top. Like, no, you got to get knocked down.
Okay.
Like, to appreciate it anyway.
I
If
agree.
you really want to appreciate your journey, like stuff got to happen, and you got to learn to be okay with it. And in the
Right.
moment,
In the moment.
it don't feel good. And you're like, what is this? What's happening? Like, what?
It's painful.
Yeah, no, it really hurts in the moment, but it grows you, like
Mhm.
literally.
This is my third time in Atlanta.
Okay.
This is my third time in
Yeah,
Atlanta.
yeah.
I just want to mention that. It's like
Yeah.
for me, I have always wanted to be in Atlanta because Atlanta felt like home.
Yeah.
From my first visit, when I came down to visit my friend,
Mhm.
at the time, my friend. But
Okay, friend.
but you know, like, so you go back, you're home. Why come back after failure? Like, why?
Because my mission was not done. My mission was left incomplete.
Mm,
Like, yeah, I went, but again, failing teaches you things.
Mm.
Last time I went, I didn't have a plan. Last time I didn't necessarily have something that was keeping me there, that was forcing me to be there.
right.
Last time I was younger.
Mm,
Last time I did not do my due diligence.
okay.
So anytime you fail and anytime, you have all these things to look back on, the next time you try it, you don't do the same thing
Right.
because insanity is doing all the same things over and over again and
That's
expecting
true.
a different,
Result.
result. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, the next time when I came in 2019, I had a plan.
What was that plan? Can you include us in some of it? Because there's
Yeah,
some people out there that need to hear this.
So next time I decided to come, like I was so again, the first time was 2016. I want to say it was like New Year's 2016.
Right.
I think that's what it was. And so then the next time I'm coming back, it was New Year's 2016. I do remember that. And then the next time it was somewhere in January of 2019. So now I had 3 years of growth.
Mm,
So the first time I was 25, I'm like, I can do this. I'm about to do it. Da, da, da.
right.
No plan. I'm just gonna go. Well, now this time I'm coming back. I am 28,
Okay.
and what did it was I left Tallahassee because we had a hurricane on the way. And at first I was like, I'm staying here. I don't care. I'm about to get these snacks. I'm about to stay in this apartment. I'm just gonna ride it out. My snacks and my wine, and I'm gonna be good.
Right.
But like literally, they had sent out the message, and they was like, "If you have not left, do not leave." And I was like, I'm
Wait.
leaving.
Wait, repeat that over one more time. Who sent that message?
The Weather Channel.
The Weather Channel.
Yeah, they said if you have not left, do not leave.
Wow.
And I don't know. At that moment, I was like, I'm leaving. I'm leaving. This was in October of 2018. And I left and I was driving and I felt the wind just blowing the car. But I was like, I don't care. Like, I'm about to go. So I had left and one of my neighbors was on my Snapchat. So it had been about a week. It was still a week later. We still ain't have power in our neighborhood. So I was like, ain't no point of me going back right now.
Right.
So I was still chilling in Atlanta. And I was asleep and I woke up in the middle of the night and something was like, it's time to leave. You back home. You are back in the same cycles. You doing the same stuff. You're not growing. And what you wanted above all things was to grow. And so when I woke up that night, I was on Google. I'm looking up all the further education head stuff I can look up. I come across this school. Paul Mitchell, the school, Lisa.
Oh yeah. Paul
I-
Mitchell.
Yes. So I came across the school and I set up my tour that night online.
Wow.
And I think it was either the next day or the day after the next day. And I went. And so when I went, I did the tour. I liked the school. But they was like, yeah, we're not offering further education hair courses right now.
Mm.
And I was like, well, I'm already here. So what y'all offering?
Wow. Wow.
Yeah, I'm like, I'm already here. So like, what y'all offering? And they said we have the aesthetics program. I just saw makeup. So I'm thinking like, okay, well, I can learn how to do makeup and then I can add that to my service list.
Right.
Not realizing that aesthetics is way deeper than makeup. Like makeup portion was like this big of a section. And the rest of it was like skincare. And I was like, whatever. If I sign up for this school, this is gonna be what's gonna keep me in Atlanta.
Wow. So you were willing to undertake another profession in order just to stay.
Yeah.
And so, like, so my next question was going to be what kind of risk that you took to invest in yourself.
Yeah.
So
Mhm.
you took a risk in taking on another profession because they weren't offering the continuing courses that you needed
Yeah.
in the hair profession so that you can stay in the area that you believe that
It's gonna
you
be prosperous. to me.
prosperous,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So how was the journey in
So
that education? Like how
the
was that?
journey was cool, actually. So when I was there, they was like, we have a class starting October, whatever, it was the end of October.
Mhm.
And right now, I think we was in the middle of October. So they was like, we got a class starting on this day. And I was like, whoa, take me a little slower than that. And they
Mhm.
was like, okay, so the next one don't start till January 22nd of 2019. I only remember that date because it was my grandma's birthday. And I was like, so you mean I'm be gone? But I was like, listen, I was like, I gotta, take it. So I went back home and November 1st, I gave my complex my 30 days notice. I was like, I'll be gone by December 1st.
Right.
And I was like, I'm going back to my mama house for December until I was going to Puerto Rico on January 10th. And my flight was from Atlanta and I was flying back into Atlanta. So I was like, once I get back from Puerto Rico, I'm in Atlanta. And so yeah, that's how I went. I put in my notices and I was like, whatever. But this time I had a plan.
This time you had a plan.
When I was at the school, they told me about like all they little extracurricular programs.
Mhm.
They was like, we got design team, we got student council, we got Be Nice or Else, we got all these things.
Mhm.
And a part of my plan was I was going and I was getting involved in all of these things because I needed at this point to make connections in my new city.
Right.
And I needed to make connections. And it was always an intention of mine to make meaningful connections.
Meaningful. That's important.
And that was all a part of my plan. Like going to school was a part of my plan. All right, I don't know much about skincare, but I'm gonna be learning something new. But I'm also going to be meeting people
Mhm.
who may or may not benefit from us knowing each other.
That's true.
But I mean, it was like, hey, I'm out here. I gotta do what I gotta do. And I mean, I honestly can say I feel like I can really talk to or reach out to any of those people I met at that school and like
Because you built
Will-
a firm foundation.
yeah, like I feel like I can reach out to any of them and like we can connect and like collab or do anything.
Mhm.
But that's the energy I wanted to give. Like I only wanted to spread positive energy. I only wanted to be a light.
Right. Right.
I didn't really want to have issues with people and do all that. Like I just don't feel it's necessary.
Yeah, it's definitely not necessary,
Yeah.
and especially when you're on a journey trying to get to
Yeah.
a dedicated space or a promised space
Yeah.
that you have purposed yourself to fulfill, right?
Yeah.
Um, I know that you're probably going to encounter people that are just like, but again, like what you put out there,
Yes.
I'm a big believer in you reap what you sow.
Absolutely. Every time.
Okay.
Every time.
Okay. You're going to sow that bad boy.
Every
You don't do
time.
anything else. You're going to sow it.
Yeah.
And um, so you basically took courses to invest in yourself,
Yeah.
but it was more so that you can network
Yeah.
with other people in the community
Yeah.
of the hair industry.
Yep.
So how have you seen benefits from that? Like, I mean, I see you've done stuff with Drea and you've done stuff with the Biz Lady, and there's some other plethora of work you have done.
Yeah.
But like, how have it benefited you? Making these connections.
In a lot of ways. So when I went and, people was like, well, you already got your cosmetology license. So, why would you go and spend all these thousands of dollars on school? And I'm just like, how about you got to worry about your path and I got to worry about mine.
Agreed.
Because truth be told, like the connections that I made have led me to jobs that have far outweighed tuition.
Mm. Wow.
And so, like, I literally mean have far outweighed tuition. Um, like, and it's really just meeting people who can meeting people and y'all building relationships with each other, and like they can hit me up. Hey, can you do this job? I can hit them up. Hey, can you do this job? Like,
Right.
are you available? I gained a mentor from Paul Mitchell. Like, aside from just like context, I gained a mentor who is very instrumental in teaching me how to run the business.
Okay.
Very instrumental in being like, hey, I have a friend. They need help with this, and it could be anything. Like, it's been like big production jobs and it's been weddings. It's all of that. So it's like nurture relationships. Treat people good, like, because you never know when you're gonna need them or when they'll
Agreed.
need you.
Or when they'll need you.
Like, because I'm just now getting here to this point where I'm realizing like we all need each other.
I agree.
Like, the world paints this narrative like, oh, I'm independent. I just want to be independent. No,
No,
that is a way to try to keep us down. Like,
Yep.
we literally need each other.
And I tell people, like, like it's no reason for God to create all these people when we're not supposed to lean on each other in some
Exactly.
way, shape, or form. And especially like one man can't do everything or one woman can't do everything by themselves. It takes a team.
A team.
A team. Like, when you look at some of the most the biggest conglomerate companies that exist in our society today,
Yeah.
it's because they brought on a team, and that they grew up with each other. Like, I attended the college that I went to because, one, it was like one of the top business schools in the state of New Jersey, and then two, it was number two or number one. I'm gonna say number one is another college, and number one for the accounting profession, right?
Yeah, yeah.
But also the student to teacher ratio was important to me. I didn't want to be in a school where there was like 300 people in my accounting class.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So it was like the ratio was like from every one professor, there was 13 students.
Oh,
Right.
Yeah.
And so you're able to build relationships. And, like there are a lot of kids there that come from certain lifestyle
Yeah.
that I'm not familiar with.
Yeah.
but I know I needed to be in an atmosphere because they have been cultured and raised in that
Yeah.
type of atmosphere. And so, in order for me to be able to assimilate in the business world, I needed to make meaningful connections and be able to communicate the way that they communicate. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, I never really looked at risk as like a part of risk is building firm foundation and
Yes.
people, because everybody has been put on by somebody,
By somebody.
by somebody. That's
And
that's
in
really
most cases, it's about who you know and not what you
you
know.
know, that's true.
Because who you know can lead you to the rooms. And then once you in the room, they can teach you what you need to know.
Yeah, because a lot of times, like I know people in my profession that don't have degrees
Yeah.
and they're making like a lot of money, but it's what they ended up in the profession
And
because of
that's all.
somebody that they know,
Yeah.
right? And so um hmm, that's really good. So let me ask you a question. You're here in Atlanta. What is I guess, was there ever a moment, right, when you felt uncertainty about the risk that you have taken?
Yes. All the time. All the time. Literally. Um, it's just that thing of like of self-doubt trying to creep in. And sometimes at your highest moments, like
Mm,
self-doubt can try to creep in. And it's like, okay, I've been led to this room, but I don't have no direction.
wow.
But the bottom line is just show up, because showing up is the biggest part of the battle.
Yes, it is.
Literally, it's the biggest part of the battle, because you like, okay, if you stay on the couch long enough, or if you stay in the bed long enough saying, oh, I'm not good enough, I can't make it, I shouldn't go because I don't have the right clothes, or I don't have the right personality, or I don't have the skill level, and just stuff like that. Like,
Mhm.
if you can get up
Right.
and make it to the place, I feel like everything else will fall into place. Like, and switching your mindset from what's the worst that could happen to what's the best that could happen.
And you know, one of the things that I that has kind of kept me going was this, is that the only thing that can happen if I don't go, I mean, if I go,
Yeah.
is they don't like me, or maybe I fail. But the whole concept of risk is that you have to take the chance
You do.
at something that you're not in, familiar with,
Right.
or you may not even feel like, hold up, you may not even feel like you're good enough, or you're fighting. I mean, you know, you stated it earlier, but I was thinking this concept. We're our biggest enemies
Yes.
because we talk ourselves out of so many opportunities, and so many, yeah, so many opportunities and so many chances,
Yeah.
um, that we don't know what lies on the other end, but you'll never know until you go. So, like,
Exactly.
I tell people all the time, like, risk, you said earlier, risk is fear, right?
Yeah.
Uh, but I tell people all the time is this, is like, if you decide to go on a journey,
Mm-hmm.
even in uncertainty or even in fear,
Mm-hmm.
like like fear exists for a reason, right?
Yeah.
It exists. I feel like fear exists because it's an opportunity for you to be bold, for you to be courageous. You know
Mm-hmm.
what I mean? For you to implement all those other verbs. Then you get what I'm saying.
Yeah.
Instead of being fearful,
Mm-hmm.
I I can push and try this thing out. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And so yeah, it's uncertainty,
Uncertainty.
uncertainty.
What's on the other side?
What's on the other side?
But you got to think about it. Like, anything you do, you have to do it for a first time.
This is true.
So what makes this first time different from the other first
The
time?
other first time.
Like, I don't know. Like, it's like walking for the first time. We don't remember it, but like you was taking a risk, but you had no idea that was a risk.
No idea.
Like you didn't know, like, oh, I can take these 2 steps and then I'm gonna fall. You
Mhm.
didn't know. But that's another thing about like the difference of childhood and adulthood. Childhood, we're not afraid most times to take risks. We
That's
just
true.
get up and do it.
That's true.
But as an adult, you become an overthinker. And it's like, oh, but if I take these 2 steps and fall, I'm gonna be embarrassed. Why?
Right.
You learn how to walk.
This is true.
You're learning how to do whatever it is that you out there
Mhm.
doing. So like I would like don't worry about like I know so I recently did like my first movie and
Okay.
I was nervous because I'm like, okay, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing, all that. Um and the department head over here, I texted him and I was just like, I find myself nervous and like I just want to be an asset to
Mm-hmm.
the team and all this stuff. And he was just like, I had a first day too. It
Wow.
was a while ago, but he was like, it's really no need to be nervous. He was like, just pay attention, just remember things, and just do it. Like he was like, we'll get you, on something a little slower, and then I can actually
Right.
walk you through it more, next time. But don't be nervous. Like,
Don't be
and so
nervous.
that was cool because I was like, okay, I might be able to chill just
A
I might be
little
able
bit.
to chill just a little bit, and knock the nerves off. But it's just stuff like that that lets you know, like, you a lot of times the pressure is in your own head. It's
That's
not
true.
from the other people.
No, it's not from other people.
Like a
True.
lot of times it's you
Mhm.
versus you.
Yep.
So
And so now this brings me to this question for you because entrepreneurial risk, one of the entrepreneurial risks that you take, um, one is starting, but they mentioned another one in the article, in competition.
mhm,
How do you deal? Atlanta is known for hair.
mhm,
It is this place for hair. The Brunner Brothers exist here. They have huge hair shows and everything out here
mhm,
in
mhm.
Atlanta. So how do you deal with the competition, or how do you take competition? Being that
Um,
it's a very saturated profession in Atlanta.
so initially, um, initially it used to bother me.
Mm-hmm.
I used to be, I used to like have a lot of self-doubt surrounding it. And it used to be like one of those things where I'm like, dang, I'm not good as this person and I'm not good as that person. And it's like you always comparing like your work to somebody else's. And that is very debilitating. It's very
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't know, it really weighs on you a lot.
Right.
But more so recently, I've just come into this place where I realize like what's for me is for me.
Mhm.
And I've never missed a blessing that was for me, and I never will.
Right.
So, I mean, the competition is really the competition really should be you versus you from yesterday, and you just trying to be the best you that you can be. Um, but the other bottom line is that um, whatever clients are for me, they're gonna be for me. And if they're not, then they're just not.
They're not.
Like, but um, I don't know. I feel like we should just stop seeing competition
Mhm.
because the effect that I leave on someone, you can't leave on them.
This is true.
And the effect you leave on somebody, I can't leave on them.
This is true.
Like, there's just certain people that we're meant for, and there's certain people that we're not.
Okay.
So for that, like I do brides,
Mhm.
and I like having the bridal consultation call. I even like doing like the bridal trials with them because for me, it lets me know if you're the type of bride I want to work with. It lets you know if I'm the type of stylist you want to work with. We get to feel out each other's energy, we get to feel out each other's vibe, and like all that. So I like that. I'm very comfortable realizing that somebody's not my client. I'm cool with it.
Mhm.
I do not, I don't mind because it saves you and I a headache.
This is true.
And that's any kind of client, really.
That's true.
So competition, I don't see it anymore.
So I've never been a competitive individual,
Okay.
right? At least I don't think.
Yeah, yeah.
Maybe there's some some competitiveness in me, but I've always tried to be the best version of me,
Yeah.
right? And so what I've learned, especially in business, is that every client isn't for you,
No,
right?
no.
And so, but if you learn, and I was thinking about this today, is that my assignment for me is to learn my market
Mm-hmm.
because I speak to a certain group. And what we have learned with social media, just currently, is like you don't have to be a conglomerate company to make millions and millions of dollars.
No, you do not.
You just have to speak to a certain group of people that hears your message and understands it.
Yeah.
And so that's what I'm hearing from you is like, look, learn your market, learn yourself, compete against yourself, be the best you.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And so,
It's literally
like,
it.
and so I guess when you keep that in mind, the risk of competition really don't exist.
It doesn't. Competition. Competition is another thing that's made up in your mind.
This is true.
I can do this better than them. Why? Why?
Mhm.
It don't matter how good you do it. If the client not for you, they not coming back.
They're not coming back.
It
They
doesn't. It does
not
not
coming
matter.
back.
They are not coming back.
At all.
No matter. It don't matter how good you do it. If they don't like you, if they don't feel your vibe, they never coming back. You
Right.
could be the best one to ever touch their head. If your energy ain't right, they not coming
They're
back
not
to
coming
you.
back. I agree.
Like for just like we just said, like I feel as though I go into situations with a very calm demeanor.
Mm-hmm.
My calm demeanor might not work for somebody. Not if they want a hyped up hairstylist.
That's true.
Not if they want somebody who come in the room. What's up?
Little ratcheticity.
That is somebody's hairstylist.
Somebody's hairstyle.
And that's what they want. And I'm
Mhm.
not bringing that to the table.
Right.
Not all the time. But I'm not.
Right.
I'm not bringing that to the table for them. And so they don't want to work with me. No matter how good, I could be the best one to ever do their hair.
That's right.
I can lay every hair in place. They'll never come back
And
because they don't want that vibe.
that's true because I've when I think about it, I've been places where it was good, but the environment I wasn't feeling, so I
Yeah.
didn't go back anymore.
Exactly.
Like you did a great job. I mean, we could talk about some restaurants.
Yeah,
We-
absolutely. We
we-
could.
We could talk about some
but
restaurants. We go out to eat all the time.
I'll take a sip of water on that.
I'm gonna sit with
I
you too.
cannot.
I could use some wine, but but I'll take this sip of water here.
You know, a little water never hurt nobody. You know,
a
a little hello hydration.
Okay, so I'm writing my little notes here.
Okay, we like notes.
What we do is we love notes. And
Cross
so
every T, dot every I.
okay, so taking risk isn't easy,
No.
right? And so I feel like everybody has something or someone they channel for a level of strength, so that they can continue to endure, and continue to see the bigger picture.
Mm-hmm.
Where, it could be what, who, where do you get your motivation from, or inspiration? Inspiration may be better.
Well, I always tell people that my biggest inspiration is, and probably always will be, my mama.
Okay.
because my mama is a mother of 5 kids. She worked for the state of Florida from 8 to 5, Monday through Friday. And after that, she was at the salon from like 6, sometimes till 3 or 4 in the morning.
Mhm.
And I don't know how she did that.
Wow.
I really have no idea. Like, I think it's crazy. But she had to do what she had to do. You know, as a single woman taking care of her 5 kids, and so that's always gonna be my biggest inspiration. You know, some people look to celebrities and all these things. I don't. I don't. They cool or whatever,
Right.
but no, nobody got the S on their chest like
On their
she does.
chest. I know that's right. And it's always mostly in your circle where you can gather inspiration
Yeah,
or defeat from some of them.
yeah,
But-
definitely.
But the fact that your mom has been the foundation, one, and just listening to your story, how she's the one that created the hunger
Yeah,
to be a hairstylist,
Yeah.
cosmetologist. Let me fix that.
Mhm.
A master
You know,
cosmetologist.
just
I just see the
little
master
something,
part of it, okay?
something.
Okay, Sensei. Because he be slaying the hair, y'all. He be slaying the hair. But but the you know, like she helped you birth, she helped you nurture
Yeah.
something that you had in you.
Yeah,
You get what I'm saying? And you also seen her hard work. So you see her discipline. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? Which I feel like like when you have discipline, risk can be a bit more, it's tough,
yeah,
but it could be a bit more easier
yeah,
in trying to accomplish what you have accomplished. And
yeah.
you have gotten pretty far, my friend. Like
All praises go to God.
I'm just gonna
All
put it up
praises.
there again, y'all. He's gotten pretty far.
All praises go to God. Like, I don't take no accountability for it. I don't take the credit.
And so, like, we come into a close.
Yeah,
'Cause
yeah.
we can talk all day,
Yeah.
but I want to thank you for this opportunity to be able to speak with you and interview you, learn about your idea of your experiences and taking risk and learning from them, right?
Yeah.
And learn how to overcome your fears, and hanging on to your childhood dreams. You get what I'm saying? And
Yeah.
learning to plan, and like
Yes.
even though like
It was hard because I ain't no planner for real.
oh, I'm very spontaneous, and
Very.
I probably kill my family by that. And just to hear that, no matter how many times you went back home to Florida, your purpose could not rest.
No.
And so the
it wouldn't.
entrepreneur in you was speaking
Mhm.
that we want this more than just anything. Like
Yeah.
we got to get it accomplished.
Got to.
And like, to be an entrepreneur is you're in search for freedom.
Yes.
And to get that freedom, you have to risk. You get what I'm saying? And I want to applaud you for the risk that you have taken, and being calculated and all that good stuff. And learning how to deal with, yourself in terms of competing and stuff like that. Like I think it's dope.
Yeah.
And so we want to thank Byron again for coming on
Thank you for having me
and sharing your experience.
I appreciate you for even wanting me to be on here.
Oh no, we have phenomenal conversations at it. Like you got to see, like we have phenomenal conversations about entrepreneurship. I'm hoping that you would come back on. I hope that you feel like we treated you well.
Oh,
You know what I mean? I hope you don't get too big. I mean, well, no, I want you to get big, but too big that you can't ever come back and visit a brother.